Live from Citizen TV, this is JKL with Jeff Koinange.
And you know, if it's Wednesday, it's all about those three letters on the keyboard that follow each other, JKL. Thanks so much for joining us on this second Wednesday of 2026. On the show tonight, it's gonna be a firebrand show. That's why we're calling it the Backbench Firebrands. I'm talking about Kiharu MP Didi Nyoro and Embakasi East MP Babu Owino. What are their plans for the future? I'm sure all of you are asking, right? Olive Burrows.
Good evening.
Looks like Sunday Live just joined JKLive.
JKL. Yes.
I'll see you.
You didn't say the whole keyboard thing tonight?
I say that in the end.
Oh, all right.
By the way, Babu Owino is already in the house.
I've seen a lot of traction online. A lot of engagement.
Yes.
And if you haven't yet, the handles are at Obarrows.
At Koinange Jeff.
At Citizen TV Kenya. And the hashtag?
Not Sunday Live.
No, JK.
I'll see you.
JKLive.
JKLive begins. Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
We do it together?
No. JKLive begins right now. Tonight.
Haya ambayo yametokea leo ni mipango ya siasa.
Rage and rubble. A night of destruction leaves Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi counting losses and blaming politics after his business premises were flattened. Information darkness and internet blackout in Uganda on the eve of Thursday's general election.
The 4 students whom I have admitted are not ready to settle in class. They are lacking 1 or 2 or 3 things.
Where are the learners? A deepening crisis in senior secondary education as some schools struggle to stay open with as few as 3 students enrolled.
I have a cardiac problem, I have a cancer problem, and I need regular medication, going to see the doctors and so on.
Conflict at home. A family divided as siblings of the late Justice David Majanja fight over a 22 million shilling insurance payout. Not only do I join Jeff Koinange tonight, I also join Njoki Shege, who is the sign language interpreter. We begin with a dramatic night raid on the multi-million shilling property of Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi. The governor has described the demolition of his businesses near Nyayo National Stadium as a politically motivated witch hunt. The midnight operation, conducted under heavy police presence, saw excavators and bulldozers flatten a car yard, a restaurant, a car wash, and several vehicles. You heard that right. However, the Kenya Railways Corporation insists the demolitions were lawful, saying all occupants were issued with adequate notice to vacate the railway corridor. According to the corporation, the exercise is part of preparations for the construction of a railway station and spar line to ease transportation ahead of the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. Citizen TV's Ben Kirui kicks us off.
By midday, the aftermath of the Donna demolition was clearly visible as business operators at the flattened structures along Douglas Wakihuri Road, formerly Aerodrome Road, behind Nyayo National Stadium, came face to face with the harsh reality of losing what has been their source of livelihood. After retiring to their homes following a long day of work, business operators were caught off guard when bulldozers moved in on Wednesday night, flattening everything in their path under police supervision. At one point, officers fired tear gas canisters to disperse protesters who had lit tires at the site. An individual believed to be a plainclothes officer was also seen drawing and cocking a pistol. Later in the day, spent cartridges were recovered from the scene. Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi condemned the destruction of his multi-million shilling property, terming the exercise a deliberate act of political persecution.
Nilienda mpaka kule kwa watu ya reli, nikachukua lease ya 65 na nilalipanga kila mwezi tunalipa, lakini haya ambayo yametokea leo ni mipango ya siasa. And I'm asking myself, when will this political persecution end for me?
While inspecting the extent of the damage caused by the night operation, during which several high-end vehicles at Super Clean Shine Enterprise Limited were destroyed, Governor Wamatangi denied receiving any eviction notice from the Kenya Railways Corporation. He maintains that the demolition was carried out without due process.
Tuko na court orders which were signed wakati tulisikia wanatutishia, wanakuja usiku, wamekuja karibu mara 5 mfululizo. Lakini jana wamekuja mpaka kupiga risasi, kupiga mpaka kupiga mpaka tear gas, ndio wafaulu kwa ile kitu yenye walikuwa wanakuja kufanya.
In response, the Kenya Railways Corporation in a statement said all alleged encroachers were adequately notified and issued with notices to vacate the railway corridor to pave the way for the construction of a railway station and spur line. As part of preparation for the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON tournament, the corporation further stated that Nyayo National Stadium, located near the demolished properties, has been designated as an operations and training center for workers during the tournament due to its central location. In conclusion, the Kenya Railways Corporation says that any illegal structure found on the corridor will be demolished without further notice and at the encroacher's risk and cost. For most Wednesday, affected business operators were seen sifting through the debris, salvaging whatever they could from the demolished properties after the operation, which was carried out under heavy police presence.
Kumekuwa na gari zinaoshwa, hapa kungekuwa na mikeka, na tunakadiria hasara kwa sababu vile watu walifukuzwa mahali hapa, kuna vitu nyingi sana tumepoteza, na sio wananchi waliiba. Kwa hivyo hilo swali tunauliza polisi, vitu zilienda wapi?
Watu wale wote walikuwa wanafanya kazi hapa kweli, wataenda wapi? Watu wale walikuwa na watoto walikuwa wanasomesha hapa, walikuwa wanafanya kazi hapa, watapeleka watoto wapi? Njoo kuna watoto wako shule na bado hawajalipiwa shule. Na bado tulikuwa tunangoja mwenye alikuwa ametuajiri hapa atulipe pesa tuende tuweze kulipa shule. Tutapeleka watoto wapi?
Even as Governor Wamatangi vowed to pursue legal redress, Kenya Railways has put on notice those operating adjacent to Nyayo National Stadium along the railway spur line from Nairobi Central Station through Nyayo National Stadium and Kibera to Talanta Stadium. Whether the demolition was lawful or not, serious questions are now being raised over why the exercise was carried out under the cover of darkness and why business owners and customers were denied the opportunity to remove their properties despite the existence of a court order. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Ben Kirui in the midst of the rubble there. We cross borders now, and Ugandans are set to head to the polls on Thursday, tomorrow, in the country's general election. However, the atmosphere surrounding the vote remains tense and deeply troubling. Civil liberties have been severely curtailed. Citizens have been denied the freedom to express themselves, to assemble or to associate freely, as security forces appear to be increasingly involved in the country's political process. Human rights activists warn that this is not an election, but a systematic crackdown on fundamental freedoms and a fleeting democracy. Melita Oletenges reports.
January 15th is shaping up to be a defining day for Uganda. More than 21,600,000 registered voters, according to the Electoral Commission, are expected to cast their ballots. But the credibility of the democratic process has been cast into doubt. Ahead of the vote, there is anxiety in the capital, Kampala, with small business owners fearful from past experiences during elections.
I am worried that there might be inflation, that there might be violence that could affect businesses, but I pray that the leaders that we are pushing into power are more sensitive to protect our concerns above their own personal interests.
The shutdown of the internet on Tuesday, alongside allegations of abductions, excessive use of force by police and the military, and widespread intimidation of dissenting voices, has raised serious concerns about the integrity of the vote.
The internet restriction directed is in line with the legitimate purpose. That is protecting national security, public safety, and public order.
8 presidential candidates are contesting the top seat. Among them is the incumbent president Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and the main opposition challenger Robert Chagulanyi. widely known as Bobi Wine. President Museveni, now 81 years old, has ruled Uganda since 1986 after emerging victorious from a guerrilla war that ended the rule of Milton Obote. He is now seeking a 7th term in office. Uganda. His main rival, 43-year-old Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu, popularly known as Bobi Wine, was once a celebrated musician whose music championed social justice, is making his second attempt at the presidency.
Down dictatorship, down! Down!
Kenyan activists have strongly condemned the pre-election environment in Uganda, accusing the Electoral Commission and the judiciary of colluding to secure President Museveni's victory.
We are seeing not only deceased people on the voter registrar, but also babies and children, that some of them have multiple voting numbers.
When you shut down the internet, when you limit media freedom, when you infringe on the freedom of expression, it automatically communicates the autocratic regime that wants to silence the masses.
Hundreds of people have reportedly been abducted across Uganda as security forces continue to detain and allegedly harass opposition supporters and activists. Opposition figure Kiza Besije is among those still being detained for over a year. In the 2021 election marred by claims of widespread rigging, President Museveni was declared the winner with 58% of the vote, while Bobi Wine garnered 35%. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
Back home, the parents of the late Justice David Majanja, who passed away in 2024, are now appealing to the judiciary to expedite the release of benefits due to his estate. The funds are intended to support his aging and ailing parents in accessing treatment and meeting their basic needs. The late judge's father, Gerishom, says they have provided everything required for the payment, but have been frustrated by the continued postponement of a ruling in their matter. In his will, Majanja bequeathed money in his accounts and shares to his youngest brother, but that has rubbed his siblings the wrong way. As you'll hear now from Ode Francis.
Upon entering this room, one is met by the failed father of the late judge of the High Court of Kenya, David Majanja. Despite his advanced age, his health continues to deteriorate. The reason being that the individual who once cared for them is no longer alive. However, he left a will in favor of his youngest brother, including over 22 million Kenyan shillings, which remains unreleased to date.
When David died, a will surfaced in which he distributed some things. But in particular, he loved Martin. The will also gave him some benefits, monies in the bank and so on and so on, including benefits after he died, like the insurance cover, the money. After he died, I tried myself to talk to the judiciary to see if it can be released. They took me round and round and round until we had to engage the lawyers.
The parents left behind by the deceased now struggle to survive due to lack of access to the funds.
The judiciary, which is supposed to take care of us, it's involved in causing pain to people whom it is supposed to protect by law. We are in pain, and they know that. I was dependent on David. He used to take care of me. I'm a sick person. I have a cardiac problem, I have a cancer problem, and I need regular medication, going to see the doctors and so on. And even the mother here is also ill. He needs money to buy the drugs.
Payout was withheld by the judiciary, pending the validation of the will or the interim order directing the release of the funds during the succession process. In court papers, Majanja's sister has argued that an absolute payment to the young brother will illegally disinherit the other beneficiaries. But as legal battle among disgruntled siblings await resolution, one way or the other, parents of the late judge want the matter resolved urgently.
4th of December. That time now he says, I'll give judgment or notice. Now, all these postponements are hurting us because we are relying on that money being available to help us. It is our view that if that money was released to him, he would take care of us. We are suffering as they delay to release that money. That is, we are pleading that the judiciary should release that money so that it helps us, so that we can be taken care of.
I will remind my good brothers and sisters in the profession that Section 39 of the Law of Succession Act is very clear. When a person dies and they have no spouse or children, Section 39 is very clear who has priority in taking over the estate. And if memory serves me right, when it comes to David, his father is here. You have heard his plea. He wants the will to be honored. And if we're not going to go with the will, it is intestacy. He still wants the money to go where David intended it to go.
The family has written to Chief Justice Martha Koome seeking a swift resolution and urging that the matter be prioritized by the court. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
An unfortunate state of affairs. As thousands of parents scramble for placement in Category 1 and Category 2 senior schools, a worrying trend is emerging in parts of the country. Several Category 4 senior secondary schools are staring at possible closure after failing to attract learners. In Machakos County, some schools have enrolled only 3 or 4 grade 10 students 3 days into the admission process. Emily Chebet has more.
While scramble for slots in the top-tier senior schools, formerly known as national schools, intensifies as hundreds of learners are enrolled, with thousands of requests continuing to stream in. The situation is starkly different in Category 4 schools, formerly called sub-county schools. Cheney Baptist, Kasinga and Kima Kimwe secondary schools in Machakos County are struggling. 3 days into the exercise, Cheney Baptist, with a capacity of 90 students, have received only 3 learners. Kasinga Secondary, which has a capacity of 150 learners, has so far admitted only 4 learners, with no single learner turning up at Kima Kimwe.
The 4 students whom I have admitted are not ready to settle in class. They are lacking 1 or 2, 3 things, and others were coming to look at how the school is and where it is, so that they can go back and come prepared to settle. It's a big challenge.
The Ministry of Education had placed 96 learners at Kasinga Secondary School, despite the school having 3 streams with a total capacity of 150 students. The head teacher blames the dismal turnout on the new method of placement, as most of those placed at the school were from far-flung areas.
My students who have been placed from the portal come all the way from Kajiado, all the way from Kadhiani, Kangundo, Mwala, in the city. And apparently, I talked to a parent on Sunday who was telling me that he's at Malindi and the child has been placed at Kasinga, where I do not have boarding facilities.
According to the principal, the transfer windows that the government opened for parents to change schools have complicated the situation further, leaving Category 4 schools vulnerable.
Nilikuwa nimeitwa at Ngelani High School Boys boarding, na kwa sababu mzazi hakuwa na uwezo wa kunipeleka in that school, tukaona tukapendelea tukuja hapa Cheni.
Kitu inachangia sana kwa wanafunzi kuingia grade ya 10 ni ukame. Kuna shida, hakuna pesa ya kupeleka watoto shule.
School heads are now urging the government to intervene and save Category 4 schools, formerly sub-county schools, from imminent closure.
What is offered in those so-called big schools is the same with what is offered in C4 schools. The teachers are the same, They went through the same universities. They were trained by the same lecturers. They went through the same curriculum.
Emily Chebet, Citizen TV.
As thousands of senior secondary school students across the country report to school to begin a new academic journey, one brilliant girl in Kitutu Masaba is watching her dream slip through her fingers. A dream shattered not by failure but by poverty. Cecilia Kerubo, a top-performing student from Nyamira County, was admitted to AIC Litain Girls, one of the country's national schools. But as others pack their suitcases, she picks up menial jobs in the village just to help her family survive. Our very own Crispin Otieno visited her in Birongo village and filed this report.
Wednesday afternoon in Birongo village, Kitutu Masaba, Nyamira County. At this homestead, Cecilia Kerubo can be seen busy with household chores, a sharp contrast to what should have been her third day in senior secondary school. Cecilia is no ordinary student. She emerged the top performer at Mongoni DEB school and across her village, scoring an impressive 68 out of 72 points in the KGCSE examination. Her celebration, however, was short-lived, with no money for school fees, shopping, or transport. Her mother advised her to take up menial jobs in the village to help support the family.
Since I received my reactions, my results, like my father, he has been so harsh, telling me that I will not be able to go to school because he has no money for me to go to school. He just wants me to remain outside here. Maybe I remain outside or I go and work somewhere as a housekeeper. At times I get a lot of pain that I cannot be able to join school. I feel a lot of pain. I feel like I'm a loser in life. My dreams are being shattered.
Today, all she has is a calling letter to a national school and a dream hanging in the balance.
So the life is very difficult. Even eating is a problem. We're strained to eat. I'm pleading with you to help me, whoever is willing. I promise I will work hard. I will not fail whoever will help me. I just want to go to school.
Her mother, Martha Kwamboka, speaks with a heavy heart. She says her firstborn daughter has always shown exceptional commitment to her studies despite their humble background, but admits the family has now hit rock bottom.
Enyewe nilikuwa na mafikirio, lakini sina uwezo chochote. Hata saa zingine anaweza acha shule, tunaenda tunafanya kazi na yeye, tunatafuta chakula.
As the registration window for senior schools draws to a close, hope for Cecilia hangs by a thread. Her class teacher describes her as a rare gem, one who truly deserves a chance.
Nimesikitika ya kwamba huyu msichana atapata nafasi ya kwenda shule ya senior school. Cecilia amekuwa akipitia mazingira magumu nyumbani. Mpaka nilikuwa natamani mwanafunzi apate shule ya bweni ili angalau akae huko.
Neighbors too have watched in silent pain as a promising future slowly slips away.
Alikuja kutoa barua ya shule, nikapata ameitwa Litain Girls. Kuitoa akaniambia baba na mama hawana uwezo wa kumpeleka shule.
For now, the Bible remains her only source of strength, a quiet prayer that a miracle will come through before time runs out. Crispin Otieno, Citizen TV.
Retired Chief Justice and presidential aspirant David Maraga has raised alarm over what he terms as a crisis in the education sector. Citing the just-released KCSE 2025 results, where a bulk of the candidates scored below D grade, Maraga says there is urgent need to address the dwindling standards to ensure quality education for all Kenyan children. Gatete Njoroge reports.
Even before the dust settled since the release of the 2025 KCSE results,
UGM Kumekucha,
retired Chief Justice David Maraga has raised concerns over the performance of nearly 400,000 candidates who scored grade D+ and below. Maraga attributes this to inadequate financing to the education sector, which leaves most schools across the country struggling with overcrowded classrooms, inadequate laboratories, and insufficient learning materials.
While we celebrate excellency, we must reject a system that produces massive failures and only a small elite that survives through the eye of the corruption needle. We have prepared evidence showing an abnormal grading curve that produces D's than C's expected in a healthy system.
Maraga says the crisis within the education sector was manifested during grade 10 placements, where some learners were placed in day schools far from home, or in some cases, female students placed in boys' schools. He also cited the frustrations parents were subjected to, search for slots for their children, and the thousands of learners from needy families who are stranded back at home due to lack of fees.
Our neighbors have not done that.
The retired Chief Justice says there is need to re-evaluate the curriculum to serve all, as the country has enough resources to ensure quality education for all.
Kenya's education crisis is not accidental. It is the predictable outcome of a government that has lost fiscal discipline, surrendered common sense, and chosen debt servicing, corruption, and political extravagance over investment in human capital.
He urged the Kenya Kwanza administration to, among other things, address teachers' shortage, increase capitation to schools, and address infrastructure gaps to bridge the gap.
We are going to have to plan a system that works for everybody, a system that leaves nobody behind. And you know, that is not something you can do overnight. You need to get all the stakeholders in the education system, starting with the parents, the teachers, and the experts in that, so that you come up with an education system.
The retired Chief Justice also called for inclusion of teachers in education reforms as a way of dealing with the challenges witnessed during the transitions. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
First blocker.
A mixed bag, but education-wise, it's interesting because your two guests actually have been quite vocal on the subject. Ndindi Nyoro, Babu Owino, I saw even offers revision for candidates.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to get their take on yeah.
We're going to take a break right now, right? And let you know that our guests have actually arrived in the studio. There they are, in the VIP area, and chatting to each other. I'm sure they're discussing the next presidential bid or something. Yeah, you see that? Babu Owino, Member of Parliament for Embakasi East, is on the right there. On the left is Kiharo, Member of Parliament. Remember Kenneth Matiba? That's right, same constituency. Dede Nyoro. Both in the house. They're going to be my guests on the bench in a little short while, so please stay tuned. Keep tweeting at Kwenega Jeff.
At Barrows, at Citizen TV Kenya.
Hashtag is JKLive. JKLive takes a break. We'll be back. In the meantime, coming up. And welcome back to Jeff Kwenange Live here at Citizen Television. On the bench today, folks, coming very shortly, two of the, according to polls, best performing MPs. Kiaro MP Dede Nyoro on the far side, and right next to him is Embakasi East MP Babu Owino. The internet has been going nuts about these two. I wonder why. Before we get to them, back to Kaleje with some news. Kaleje.
Thanks, Jeff. And you'll be glad you stayed with us on JKLive because we have some good news that's just come in. Crispin Otieno, who highlighted the plight of Cecilia Kerubo, has just sent me this message he's received from her, and it reads that requirements for the school will be met by FKF President Emeritus Honorable Sam Nyamweya to clear, and Choices Microfinance Bank through their CEO Boniface Ombui to offer a scholarship for 4 years. That's the report we carried on Cecilia Kerubo, who is undertaking menial jobs because her family cannot afford to send her to AIC Litain, which is a national school, but now we've just received that good news. So congratulations, Cecilia. On to Matters Health from Matters Education now, and the health services across public hospitals in Nairobi have been paralyzed for the third week running now, following the withdrawal of services by healthcare workers. Doctors have been on strike for 27 days, while clinical officers have withdrawn their services for the last 23 days. And as you'll hear now from Mary Mwoki, all the remaining health cadres are expected to join in the strike on Thursday at midnight, further paralyzing the delivery of healthcare services in public hospitals in the county.
This is the situation in public hospitals across Nairobi County. Here at the Mbagathi County Referral Hospital, patients are stranded at the waiting bay, spending hours in waiting, unable to access the care they came to seek, as the healthcare workers' strike continues to bite. Most stations at the health facility remain deserted, as few nurses on duty say they are overwhelmed by the influx of patients. Doctors in Nairobi County are vowing to continue their strike over unpaid salaries and benefits. The medics accuse Governor Johnson Sakaja of consistently failing to honor signed agreements and a return to work formula.
With Sakaja, there's no medical cover, there are no promotions, now there are delayed salaries. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And I can tell you, Nairobians, the leadership at the county level does not care for you.
As we speak now, even the clinical officers are on strike. The other cadres are actually joining tomorrow, telling you that how health is not working in Nairobi. So all we are saying that wananchi wa Nairobi, mjue hakuna madaktari hospitali. Na ukienda hospitali mwenye anakutibu ni wale wenye mnaitanga madaktari, lakini si madaktari. So please, we kindly request you to seek medical care somewhere else in these other facilities and around the county. Because for sure, it's going to get worse.
The doctors who commenced their industrial action mid-last month were joined by clinical officers who have vowed that they will not resume work until all outstanding payments are cleared and their grievances addressed. The clinical officers' primary demands are salary arrears, implementation of salary review, CBA operationalization, and permanent employment for UHC staff.
He doesn't want to sign a CBA for few people that he has negotiated for since 8 years ago. Did he know that he was negotiating a CBA for 150 people? And that is very clear, that it is an admission of a system that has failed.
We have 47 governors who also continue to be negligent and portraying impunity, being that they have also gotten all the approvals. The governors and the ministry have not even seen a reason to be able to sit and conclude the CBA.
The situation is expected to further deteriorate when nurses and laboratory officers join the strike on Thursday midnight after the expiry of their strike notice over unpaid salaries and allowances. Mary Mwoki, Citizen TV.
From Nairobi County, we now head to Siaya, where hundreds of senior citizens from Alego Usonga turned up for the ongoing mobile national ID registration drive launched by the government. The residents, most of whom had lost their IDs in the 80s, expressed renewed hope in getting access to key government services. Laura Otieno now reports on the government's efforts to ease access to national IDs across the country.
The Luno dispensary was on Wednesday swarmed with residents of Usonga Ward in Siaya County. While the young stood in line, the old were given first priority. Among them is 72-year-old Frederick Agawa. For nearly 5 decades, Agawa has never voted, does not hold any bank or mobile money account, and is not a beneficiary of the Social Health Authority. The reason being that he lost his identity card in the 70s.
Niliungua kwa nyumba yangu ya kwanza, niliungua na kila kitu. Sasa ilikuwa bado sijachukua ingine. Majira kilikuwa kuniambia kama sina kitambulisho si mwana Kenya. Mimi ni mtu wa Uganda.
ID mwanzo nilichukua 71 ile ya blue. Nikakaa nayo nilipokuwa 1982 nilikuwa nikirudi hapo, ninakuja hivi natoka Mombasa narudi, ilipotea ndani ya gari. Sasa kuanzia hapo silichukua ID yoyote.
In October 2025, the Ministry of Interior rolled out the mobile registration of persons, an exercise that has been running in all wards across the country. To enable a majority of Kenyans access the key document, the government also waived fees, a move that has seen Agawa and hundreds of other senior citizens from Usonga turn up and replace their ID cards.
Sijawahi kupata hiyo senti hela yoyote kwa hiyo kutoka kwa serikali, ambapo ikawa ni jamii haikiwa hata niyo kusaidia upande gani, sina yoyote, hata asha sijapata.
Hii sasa inabidi imejitokeshea sasa, mzee anabembea ili afikishe tu haki ya serikali. Kama mtumishi aliyoanzia kule Mombasa akija, inabidi kama hana apate kwamba na kitambulisho.
Under Cap 107 of the Registration of Persons Act, Kenyans who attain 18 years of age are required to register for legal recognition. A national identity card, often referred to as ID, is afterwards issued and is used to access services as well as participate in national activities such as voting. For now, Michael, Frederick and others have been handed a new lease to not only participate in their civic duty, but also register for crucial government services. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
I'm curious how they are able to get by for so long without their IDs. The national government has released 6 billion shillings over the past month to cushion Kenyans against the ongoing drought. Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki, who co-chaired the 14th Development Partners Forum, says the government will now disburse 4 billion shillings every month to sustain drought mitigation efforts. As you'll hear now from Emily Chebet, more than 10 counties are grappling with drought following poor short rains between October and December of 2025.
More than 2 million people across Kenya's arid and semi-arid lands are struggling to access food, water and basic services as the drought continues to bite. According to the National Drought Management Authority, the poor performance of the current short rains season has worsened conditions across 23 ASAL counties. The worst hit county at the moment is Mandera, which has been classified in the alarm drought phase, prompting calls for urgent intervention. 9 counties including Wajir, Garissa, Kilifi, Kitui, Marsabit, Kwale, Kajiado, Isiolo and Tana River are on the alert phase requiring close monitoring. 13 counties including Samburu, Turkana, Taita Taveta, West Pokot, Tharaka Nithi, Embu are classified under the normal drought phase but remain on a worsening trend with water and livestock sectors under strain. Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has said that the government will embark on the first phase of livestock off-take program to avert the loss of income for pastoralists. Kindiki, who co-chaired the 14th Development Partners Forum, said the cash transfer program is being implemented to complement distribution of food to affected citizens.
Towards the end of December, the National Treasury released 2.5 billion Kenya shillings to the Special Programs Department. 2 weeks ago, actually last week, another 3.5 billion shillings was released to the Special Programs Department.
He said that the government has budgeted 2 billion Kenya shillings every week for the next 6 months to sustain the interventions, even as they call on partners to boost the program.
354,000 people receiving food and cash transfers, 120,000 receiving livelihood support, 750,000 sufficient water for drinking and cooking, 13,000 hygiene support, 100,000 on critical life-saving health services.
While ASAL counties are the most affected, spillover effects are increasingly being felt even in non-ASAL counties through rising food prices, water stress, and in many cases, livelihood disruptions.
Kenya has already made the commitment for 4 billion shillings every 30 days, and will review the situation based on the information we receive.
The Kenya Red Cross has embarked on collection of fresh data with a worsening situation.
The reason why I think even the director Kenya Met is saying that we will have better information in April is it is just a difficult season to have a focus on. So it might be a strategic point for us not to plan with a better season, to plan with a worst case scenario.
Emily Chebet, Citizen TV.
On to matters politics now, and the Orange Democratic Movement Party, ODM leader Oburu Odinga has stated that party rebels are free to leave voluntarily, insisting they will not be expelled. This comes after Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and the Deputy Leader Geoffrey Osotsi skipped the party's rally at Kamkunji grounds in Kibra constituency. The party has formally informed its members that it is holding coalition consultative meetings with the United Democratic Alliance, UDA, aimed at reaching a pre-election pact ahead of the 2027 general election. Seth Olale has that report.
The Orange Democratic Party has kicked off its nationwide consultative rallies to brief members on the launch of the 2027 pre-election coalition talks with the United Democratic Alliance. The move comes ahead of the National Delegates Conference, which will formally ratify the coalition decision.
Na tuta negotiate na hawa from a point of strength, not from a point of weakness. Sisi ndio chama kubwa. Sisi ndio chama kubwa Kenya mzima kushinda vyama vingine vyote.
Yeye party leader wetu aanzishe mazungumzo na vyama ambazo ziko like-minded, ikianza na chama cha UDA. NDC ifanywe Nairobi, sauti ya wana ODM isikike kama wanataka kwenda upande hii ama upande wa Oburu Odinga.
With ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and Deputy Party Leader Geoffrey Osotsi absent from the event, Party Leader Oburu Oginga emphasized that any party rebels are free to leave the opposition outfit of their own volition.
Na sisi lazima tuendelee pamoja, na hatuna nia ya kufukuza mtu yoyote kwa chama. Mtu akitaka kutoka kwa chama aondoke mwenyewe.
Gavana ambaye atakuwa wa Nairobi lazima atakuwa ni wa ODM.
The opposition party also announced plans to support victims of post-election protest by advocating for the full implementation of the NADCO report.
Na tuko hapa kusema pole na kusema ya kwamba kuna msaada.
The ODM rally comes just 48 hours after its Central Governing Committee formally endorsed Party Leader Oburu Oginga to lead coalition talks with UDA ahead of the 2027 general election.
Na chama Party Leader ya ODM.
ODM says that it will embark on a nationwide sensitization program in order to inform its members regarding the latest development in embarking on coalition talks with like-minded parties. Seth Olale, Citizen TV at the Kamukunji grounds, Kibra constituency.
Seth Olale quite literally in the thick of things there. Now, Coast members of Parliament have affirmed their support for the ODM party and the broad-based arrangement. The leaders who spoke in Mombasa called on the coastal residents to rally behind ODM leader Oburu Odinga, who has been tasked by the party to hold pre-election talks with the UDA party to create a formidable coalition for the 2027 general election.
Tutakuwa na wale ambao tunaoita Kiingereza technocrats, na kuna wale ambao watakuwa ni wanasiasa wabunge, na hata kama kutakuwa na vitengo vingine, tunasema lazima viongozi wa pwani ama wa pwani wawakilishwe vilivyo.
The discussion of His Excellency the President, any other positions, then the coastal leadership, coastal people should be recognized and awarded what deserves to them, because we are stakeholders and we are seriously.
Within ODM, the parties that are going to negotiate for and on behalf of ODM, Ali Hassan Joho must be in that table. And that is not negotiable.
Kwa hivyo upande ule wa wenzetu wa ODM wakichagua kamati, tunataka Mpwani akuwe katika hiyo kamati. Katika hii side nyingine pia ya Kenya Kwanza UDA katika negotiation tunataka Wapwani wakuwe pale.
The United Democratic Alliance National Executive Council meeting has endorsed coalition talks with the Orange Democratic Movement Party, ODM, in a meeting chaired by its party leader William Ruto in State House, Nairobi. The NEC mandated party leader President William Ruto to establish mechanisms for structured engagement with the ODM party to achieve the desired outcome. UDA NEC says the talks seek to strengthen the ongoing political partnership and negotiate a coalition agreement ahead of the 2027 general election. The meeting was also attended by UDA Deputy Party Leader and Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki.
Are you going to introduce me, or do I just go straight through?
Well, I saw the camera was focused on you already, so I thought you'd just take it away. Over to you, Jeff Koinange.
Thank you, Olive. On the bench today, the new young Turks. They're young, they're outspoken, they're backbenchers, and yes, they have political ambitions of their own. On the far end, Kiharu MP Didi Nyoro, and right next to him, Embakasi East MP Babu Owino, who spent 15 years as a student leader, has like 6 degrees, and yeah, he has ambitions too. Guys, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jeff.
Happy New Year to both of you.
Happy New Year, Jeff.
Babu, let me start with you real quick. I know you're very close to Ugandan opposition leader Bobby Wine.
Yes.
Tomorrow is the elections in Uganda. When's the last time you spoke to him, and what did he tell you about things on the ground?
Thank you, Jeff. First of all, I must appreciate the fact that you are here and thank the Almighty God for our lives. You know, Jeff, you are already finished on social media.
Yes, I was dead.
But you know, such a person like you will live for over 100 years. You will be the Methuselah of Kenya. But Jeff,
yeah.
I spoke to Bobby Wine 3 days ago. We talked, and Bobby is being frustrated in Uganda. I don't think if that is a campaign season, because you find an aspirant, a potential presidential aspirant, campaigning, putting on bulletproof everywhere, the police trying to prevent him from going to campaign, and that is already breaking of the electoral laws. I want to tell you, my brother, that Bobby is on the right path. I talked to him. I told him that this election, as things are clear, the fact that Museveni has shut down internet in Uganda clearly tells you what is happening. But I want to tell you one thing that I told Bobby. I told Bobby that that power is like a beautiful lady. She loves to associate with the young who are bold, not the old who are cold.
Absolutely.
Bobby still has a future.
He still has a future.
And in this presidential election, I'm very sure Bobby is going to win.
Didi, Ikijumenda, once you shut down the internet, the young people cannot communicate. There's no, telling what's going to happen between the polling stations and the counting centers.
Yeah.
Ikijumenda.
I don't think so. First of all, Jeff, thank you very much. I have not been to the bench for years.
For years? I think it was before COVID.
Probably.
BC.
Yeah, man. And I'm glad you invited me with my brother, Honorable Babu Owino. We've been brothers for a long time. I don't think it has gone. What I see is a warring trade, actually, in our region, because the basis of democracy is to bring forth the best. And for democracy to work, all the people have to accept that you cannot be in the race alone.
Yeah.
If you are in the race alone, then that is not democracy.
Yeah.
And the fact that we can see in this era and age that because of elections now people are cut off from communication, that is a very worrying trend for our region. And I hope that the regime in Uganda will consider that decision. and also give democracy a robust arena. I always believe that when you give the best leader the mantle, you benefit even you paving the way for them. When, for example, President Kibaki made our country better, it didn't become better for him, just him alone. It also became better for the people he was competing with. And therefore, democracy should be given an opportunity to bring forth the best minds, the best agenda, so that our countries including Uganda, can be progressive in terms of economy and in terms of all the other areas.
You talk about the best minds. I think you're talking about yourselves here. There's something that I read in the best minds. But, we're going to talk about that when we come back from the break. Also, Didi, you were considered a blue-eyed boy of UDA. Blue-eyed boy. Now you seem to be critiquing your own team, your own party.
Yeah.
Babu, you seem close to Baba. You never said anything against Baba, but you weren't that close. You weren't as close as we thought you were. What happened? I mean, you guys you're on the outside pissing into the tent. Or maybe not.
They're
anyway,
pissing on us.
Yeah, exactly. We want to know your ambitions, your goals, what you want for your country. Because, let's face it, you guys are the future. Alafu hiyo pesa ya CDF hiyo unajenga hizo schools na nini. Pesa inatoka wapi?
Fees ni 500, Jeff.
Guy.
Patam, not per day.
Ni punch.
Na wanakula chapo.
Ni punch.
Punch.
Wanakula chapo?
Wanakula
I'm coming to that school.
Yeah.
Hata mimi nakuja.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break, come back with these two young men, young Turks, firebrands, outspoken, and they speak without fear or favor. Didi Nyoro, Kiaro MP. The constituents that they used to belong to one Kenneth Stanley Jindo Matiba. Remember him? Probably not.
And Dr. Ken.
And Dr. Kiano as well. My goodness. Babu Owino. And because the East, I know the entire constituency is watching you right now. Wakorada Mbaya.
Republic.
Mbaya. Republic. Let's take a break. Plenty more coming ahead. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at O Burrows, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLive. JKLive takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.
On the JKL bench tonight, a no-holds-barred conversation with firebrand MPs Didi Nyoro and Babu Owino.
Moisture in your skin helps it repair itself constantly. Without the right balance of moisture, chances of skin problems can occur. Vaseline locks in moisture to give your skin a natural glow and protection. Use Vaseline because it is the first step to maintaining natural, healthy-looking skin.
Hi, my name is Winston Chekai. I'm a beneficiary of Cooperative Bank Foundation Scholarship. I'm a graduate architect passionate about community development. Every project I work on is about making a difference, creating spaces filled with hope and memories. The project that I am dear to is the project at Hurlingham. It is a very nice opportunity for me to grow, and I was very much invested to the project, and it came out so nice. I strongly believe that as alumni of Cooperative Bank Foundation, we need to come together with the success that we are sharing, which did not come from our own volitions. And by sharing our success with other people, it really pushes them to also be as successful as we are, courtesy of Cooperative Bank Foundation.
Acha buzz mingi. Bring what you got. Ukonyeshe who's boss. Reclaim your home. Rated strikes like lightning. Kills Dudu's dead. Available in stores countrywide.
Imagine 24/7 monitoring system voltage and frequency to ensure it's no more, no less. Welcome to National Control Center. This is where we control the country's power generation. These screens enable us to see the entire network, the generation, and the demand. They also enable us to achieve the balance. Everything has to be at the right frequency and the right voltage within the right margins. Otherwise, we'll have poor customer power supply quality or even power system collapse. From Olkaria Geothermal, 7 Forks Hydros, and other generation sites, we have to generate power, transmit it, deliver it to the substations, all the way to the transformer, and finally to you. My name is Engineer Teacher, Pamoja Toanga.
Teke na Wigo Boda. Chanua Jam, fika on time at the lowest charges in town. Wear helmet and ride in style. Ni safi, ni safe, na ni easy kwa mfuko yako. Wigo, your trusted ride. Download the app now. Ama SMS Wigo to 20425. You'll fike right on time. Wigo, your trusted ride.
Buroti maguta, keja kwa mtaa mambo fiti. Nafungua bahasha wao nikismile, mambo ni murwa, kop imeshikia keta, biza maplot, nikasip tu. Kaniflota mboka, reti kotop, nikasip tu.
With just a payslip, get a mobile loan of up to 500,000 shillings or an unsecured loan of up to 9 million shillings. Visit a Cooperative Bank branch today. Cooperative Bank, we are you.
You think all paracetamol is the same? Panadol Advance, with its unique Optizorb technology, releases medicine 5 times faster than standard paracetamol, making it ready to work in 5 minutes. Try Panadol Advance for fast and effective relief from pain and fever. Fast relief at only 15 shillings per pair.
Masaa ni ya Safaricom na Shangwe A25. Kila wakati unatumia M-Pesa, ni nafasi moja ya kuingia kwa draw ya kuwa mshindi. Tumia M-Pesa popote ulipo. Lipa na pochi, send money au buy goods or pay bill, upate nafasi ya kuwa mshindi wa milioni 1. Msee, hata kubuy bundles, minutes au kurenew home fiber inaongezea entries kwa draw. Hii ndo sasa form ya kushinda milioni na Shangwe A25. Ukitumia Safaricom, unapata nafasi ya kuwa mshindi. The more entries unapata ukitumia any M-Pesa, kutuma au kulipa, unaongeza nafasi ya kuwa mshindi wa daily prizes, free bundles, free minutes au free M-Pesa, au kuwa mmoja wa washindi 25 wa milioni 1. Tumia Safaricom tusherehekee pamoja. Shangwe 25, popote ulipo.
We're separating, Helena. Julio and I decided, and we might get a divorce.
Get up to 50% off on back-to-school essentials, uniforms, and more. Start strong, save smart. Give your child a champion start to the school year. Naivas saves you money.
And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live here at Citizen Television. On the bench tonight, it's the firebrands. They may be backbenchers, but I'm telling you, these MPs are outspoken. Kiaro MP Didi Nyoro is in the house, as is Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino. Gentlemen, let me start with you, Didi, real quick. Look, why are you so uneasy with your party? Since, you know, it's not so long ago, you were the blue-eyed boy of UDA. Kwani kuliendaje?
Jeff, I think you should ask the party that, because I think it's the party that deviated. Because when we were campaigning and I had a chance even to come here to sell our agenda, I think the party wholesome is the one that has deviated from what we were to do. I've spoken on several things, but the primary ones is around the economy. We told Kenyans that we are not going to borrow the kind of money we are borrowing now, that we'd go through on borrowing, because for sustainable development, it's not just about spending now, but also about the future of our economy. Also, we were to give education the primacy it deserves. I don't think now that party is doing what we sold to the Kenyan people, and especially when it comes to the funding for in terms of education. And holistic things like, for example, what you are doing in terms of dissent, people are having alternative voices, as we have seen, especially with the young people, what has been happening. So I think once you get the representatives of the party, it's good that you pose that question to them, because I still believe in the same things we sold to the Kenyan people, and I believe they are the right things to do, whoever is in power.
Are you disappointed then with your party?
I am disappointed, and especially on the same things I've told you about. I am very keen about the economy, because for all the countries that we may admire to be like, all of them, the Asian tigers, the Western countries, what makes the country to be categorized as progressive is how it performs in terms of the economy. And we have not been doing very well. And let me give you just so that you see, and especially between what is sold and what I think we should be doing. Whatever you do economically speaking, the outcomes speak for themselves in terms of the figures. And I'm saying that because I have been seeing that we are investing too much on PR, selling a story, other than just doing the work to speak for itself. The economy of Kenya is growing at 4.9% this year, last year actually of 2025. The figures are still being corroborated, but that is the projection. But if you judge Kenya based on the region, Uganda is growing faster than us. It will grow between 6 and 6.5% in the year 2025. Tanzania is growing faster than us. Rwanda, can you believe this, Jeff?
Go on.
Rwanda in the year 2025 Q3, quarter 3, they grew by double digit, over 10%.
What?
And the overall growth of Rwanda will be 7 to probably 9%, as the figures are being corroborated by the various agencies. So I believe that whatever you do in the small bits, you still get betrayed by the figures. Let me also give some figures in terms of Kenya, comparative to Kenya of the past. And let me compare the three regimes that has been there. When President Mwai Kibaki took over in 2003, our GDP in dollar terms was around $19 billion. In his first 3 years, let me compare 3 years because we are in our it is now in the third year. The economy went up to $26 billion, which was a 36% increment in 3 years. When President Uhuru took over in the year 2013, the economy grew from $61 billion to around 64. That was around 21% growth in 3 years. When we took over, the GDP of Kenya was around $114 billion. The projection up to end of 2025, it will be $131 billion. That is 14.9%. Now, to bring it home in terms of, we use NEC exams. You can times by 2 for us to have the mental comparison in terms of NEC. It means President Kibaki's 3 years, if you times by 2, is 72%. You'll tell me what NEC says about 72%, what grade it is. 21% of President Uhuru is around 42%. If you times by 2, if you times 14.9% by 2, it is partly 29%. You'll tell me what grade that is in terms of...
That's an F.
Is that what?
It's an F.
Is that what, Jeff? Please.
I said it's an
I need to
F.
hear well. So what I'm trying to say, we all want Kenya to progress, and that is why we keep on giving alternative voices. But for Kenya to progress, we have to start on the basis of reality and truth. So that when we tell Kenyans we are going this direction, and the economy is growing, I don't need to buy a tarubeta. Even whispers will speak loud. That is why I'm disappointed.
Okay, Babu, same thing with you and ODM. You know, you seem to be very close to, you're Baba's boy. Baba, there's never an occasion where you got up and didn't praise Baba to no end. And yet, you're still outside the tent, man. You know, what's up?
Jeff, I must tell you that deep down my heart, I loved Baba and I still love Baba. Actually, Baba, there's no any other leader in this country that I will love the way I loved Baba. We suffered together. We campaigned together. I went to 280 constituencies out of 290 constituencies because of Baba. I was the first person to have been abducted in this government, and they disappeared with me for 3 good days because of the love that I had for Baba. We were beaten at Soi, the chopper that was stoned. We were almost dying in that chopper because of my love for Baba. I was doing mobilization for Baba in Nairobi. So I was Baba's boy, I was Baba's right-hand man, I was Baba's errand boy. And that is the love that I had for Baba. And Jeff, our Baba, passed on, quite unfortunate. It was a sudden death that we are still mourning up to date. And Jeff, because of that, the general is dead. Long live the general, but the dream is still alive. The fact that the general is dead, Jeff, then we need to ask ourselves a simple question in ODM, that what kind of a general do we need to take after Baba? Do we need the weakest general, or do we need the strongest general, or do we need a parachuted general? Our Moses is gone, and when Moses was leaving, he left at Mount Nebo, then handed over to Joshua. The next question we must ask ourselves, Jeff, is that, do we need a Joshua who is Moses' age mate, or who is older than Moses, or a Joshua who is younger than Moses? The answer is simple, Jeff. We need a Joshua who is younger than Moses, a Joshua with the vim, with the vigor, with the courage, with the temerity to take the people that Baba left to Canaan, because we've already seen Canaan. And I will come back and talk about Canaan versus Singapore, because Baba left us telling us to go to Canaan. Now we are being diverted to go to Singapore. The distance between Singapore and Canaan is 7,800 kilometers. People keep on saying that they dreamt, that Baba sent them a dream. And Baba, we've not even been told by our great mom, Mama Ida Odinga, that Baba has sent him a dream, sent her a dream, sorry. But people are saying the way they've dreamt 7, 8 times about Baba, what Baba said. But why can't they say that Baba told us to go to Canaan and not to Singapore? I want to tell you one thing, Jeff, that in the book of Joel, 2 verses 28, the Bible says clearly that old men will dream dreams, but young men will see the vision. That means that for you to dream dreams, you must be asleep. You must be at comfort zone. You must be at rest. Therefore, our old men are now at comfort zone and at rest. They are at rest because of the wars that they fought and brought it this far. They are at rest because of the sweat, the toil, and the moil. Because they fought for this nation. And it is time for them to hand over the baton to the young generation who are seeing the next future, who are seeing the generation, who are seeing for the next generation, who are seeing the future. That those young people will change this nation, will ensure that the high cost of living goes down, will ensure that overtaxation is no longer there in this nation, will ensure that employment is given to our young men and women, will ensure that quality education and affordable is given to our children, equal to healthcare. And that, when the time for the young men to hand over reaches once they become old, they will also hand over to other young men and women who will ensure that the dream is kept alive.
Okay.
And Jeff,
go on.
Current ODM that we have does not talk about what Baba stood for. Baba never went to look for coalitions. Baba never went to look for other parties. Other parties came to look for Baba. This that we are going to look for is a different ODM. So therefore, the leadership of ODM must ensure that they stand with what Baba believed in.
And you feel they're a little twisted, a little...
what I will tell you...
Of course, Kidogo.
They are, of course, that leadership, they don't like the young people. And I want to tell you, again, in the book of 1 Timothy 4, verses 12, says clearly that do not allow yourself to be despised because you are a youth.
Yeah.
But show, by good example, by love, show the good work that you can do to the
Didi, real quick, Babu just mentioned Singapore a moment ago. And you are a numbers man. You know your numbers. And you just mentioned it briefly a short while ago that you have to stick to your vision. Is Singapore a reality or is it a diversion?
Let me answer it this way. In economics, just to bring it in terms of real life, if, for example, you are a banana farmer, you compare how well you want to do banana farming with another banana farmer. You can't compare your yield using, let's say, oranges or pears. What am I trying to say? Every time you want to champion a cause like any other country economically, there are things that you look for. And that's why I believe the whole thing is like the one we sold about this versus the other. And because the time is nearing, creativity now have to jump in with another of such. And this is the reason I gave the example of bananas and the rest. Economically speaking, when you want to compare an economy and you want to do like that economy, you look at the homogeneity of those economies. You look at, are these things even the same in many dynamics? The GDP per capita of that country is around, and I don't want to even get into that political sloganeering, so you allow me to use that reference. It's around 90,000 US dollars.
GDP?
No, GDP per capita, per person. Ours is around 3,000, but that's not even the point. The point is that how the economies are fashioned. The economy of Singapore is fashioned very differently from how the economy of Kenya is fashioned. Number one, in terms of the involvement of the state in terms of the economy. If, for example, you check at SGX, the Singaporean stock market, you take the top 10 companies, you realize that Temasek, one of the entity of government that owns stakes in other companies, they are very dominant in terms of ownership. Because Singapore, in its start, as much as it was promoting private side of the economy, the government was also very heavy in terms of state capitalism. So the economy actually that is very close to what Kenya should be, if we actually mean to emulate a country, it is actually South Korea. Because if you look at the size of that country you mentioned vis-a-vis Kenya, totally off. Even a county in Kenya is bigger in terms of geographical size, population-wise, and the same. If you compare the same with a country, for example, South Korea, more or less, our ideals economically bled more with South Korea. Our population is in the 50 millions. South Korea is in the 50 millions. Our country, our aspiration is to promote private sector-driven capitalism. And that is why we keep on divesting from government stakes. If you look at South Korea, that is what it advanced, and especially from the rule of General Park, where the economy was so involved in growing private enterprise that they had to create a cadre of companies called chaebols. You see, for example, my phone, here Samsung, LG, Hyundai, Those are bras from South Korea.
Yeah.
But they were created by a deliberate government policy. Why? Because they wanted these companies, which would become behemoths, to be the pinnacle of the supply chain of supporting SMEs in South Korea, etc., etc., etc. That's point number one on how the economies are organized. There is something very important also that Kenya has to give critical thinking on. It's something called FDI. If you look at the Asian tigers in generality, because our aspiration is to grow Kenya, you realize that majority of the economies, including China, they don't just grow using internal resources. Most of these companies actually grow using other people's money. If you just try to think about any company, for example, in Singapore, take, for example, DBS Bank, KPL. If you go to South Korea, you take others. You go to China, take any BYD. You realize there is, in all those, what I'm trying to make, because I'm trying to just jump into the point because of time. If you check in all those companies, and many others I've not mentioned, you see something very peculiar. For BYD to be BYD that we know, they actually grew on American money. At some point, Berkshire Hathaway was an investor. If you check Alibaba, there was foreign money. But now when you come to Kenya, and especially policy making, and I've been there, I have seen it. I'm speaking from experience, given my other
chairmanship budget.
Yes.
Yes.
Many times we confuse FDI and remittances. We want to sell a story to Kenyans about money that is coming to Kenya, and especially from Kenyans who are working abroad. Yeah. Remittances are consumerism-driven. FDI is investment-driven. The other point, I'm just trying to give a highlight. You look at Kenya, and you look at the countries we want to emulate, you want to look at the dynamism of those economies, and you realize ours is very haphazard. If you look, for example, at Japan that started to grow around Asia, they started with having labor-intensive industries. And there was a reason. Because you mop up unemployment, you solve a social problem, but you also give people a chance to be a resource. And then you upgrade. You go to a skill-intensive kind of industry or economy. Then you go to capital-intensive. And then you go to technology-driven. Why am I giving all these issues around here? The economy must know where it is, so that the policies, even if you may leapfrog and go to the other technology, etc., you have to start at the base and first stick there until you then graduate and go to the next. And I'm not saying you keep off growing on the rest in terms of skill and technology and capital intensive. I'm saying that we must be deliberate on creating labor-intensive industries, because this is an economic issue in terms of solution, but it's also a social one. The other point, as I go to the finish, I'll just give a few. For us to become like those countries, none of them grew on the basis of patronage. The biggest problem we have in our country now is patronage. Patronage is where we mix power and economy. Is it a coincidence in Kenya that when one is bequeathed with a big position, they automatically become the best entrepreneurs in Kenya, that they become also captains of the industries in terms of ownership? The other point, which we have to be very clear on, is governance and corruption. Yeah. Singapore, in the year 1980s, they had a program around housing. And the Minister for Housing took some money from somebody. And he was being searched by the equivalent of EACC. And because Lee Kuan Yew was his friend, he decided to call him. Hey, my friend, I'm in this kind of problem.
Can I come see you?
Can I come see you,
yes.
Lee Kuan Yew told him, malizana na EACC, mimi siendi pahali utaniona. Utaniona tu. The guy committed suicide. What am I trying to say? Jeff, and I'm talking this because I know for sure it is important. We have to root the diversion that happens around taking public resources and benefiting from policies when especially we are in governance. Because corruption is not just about kitu kidogo. The biggest level of corruption is the one that distorts economic incentives. Yeah. This is what I mean. In not just Kenya, most of the countries in the global south, you realize as a young man, if I just gain power, I get money in between. If you go to those countries, there is a clear demarcation. So what happens? Even the person who should be an entrepreneur, the biggest resource in entrepreneurship becomes power. Yeah. And that is not how an economy can grow to the level we want to go into. The very last one is human capital development. From the US, from the UK in terms of growth, actually from way back, you know, there is a time Netherlands was a superpower in the world. From Netherlands to the UK, to the US, coming to the Asian tigers, including China, you realize one critical element. In all economic models of those ones, practical examples, and even theoretically, human capital development is the most important resource that you have to work on when you're talking about growing an economy, not in a normal pace, astronomically. Okay. And we cannot do that when at the same time we are denying the basic level of that, which is basic education, sufficient resources.
Babu. Yep, if I may, the issue of Singapore.
Yes.
First of all, if I just talk at face value and compare Singapore and Kenya, Jeff, the size of Singapore is 736 square kilometer.
Is that central province? Is that smaller than?
The size of Nairobi is 696 square kilometers. Wow. Therefore, Singapore and Nairobi are almost congruent in size. The size of Kenya is 580,000 square kilometers. It means that Kenya is 800 times bigger than Singapore. Then the population of Kenya is 58 million in number, while the population of Singapore is 6.1 million in number. The GDP right now of Singapore is close to around 4.6% today. And the GDP of Kenya is approximately around between that 4 and 5%. Therefore, it means that how else will the 58 million Kenyans fit in Singapore, which is a smaller country in terms of size? Jeff, there is no need of the state, of the government, of the president talking about Singapore if we have a blueprint in Kenya. For 40 years when KANU was ruling this nation, by 2002, we had an economic growth rate. Actually, I'm talking about the economic growth rate, not the GDP. Of Singapore is 4.6, and of Kenya is around 5%. The economic growth rate of Kenya as at 2002 was at 2%. Then when Kibaki took over, the economic growth rate shot to 7%.
7.1, I remember, yes.
7%.
Yes.
Then, in 2008, Kibaki came up with a blueprint and called it the Vision 2030. We don't need to go to Singapore. I want us to focus here. The Vision 2030, having come up, the projection was that by the year 2013, it ought to have had a two-digit number, which was approximately 10%. And by the year 2030, it ought to have maintained that 10% and even more. With the blueprint that we have, we had 3 pillars. The economic pillar, that was comprising of tourism, that we were to market our nation, and we were to come up with proper infrastructure and proper hotel industry to attract tourism in our nation. Yep. We were to talk about manufacturing, that we invest more in manufacturing, in construction industry, in the service industry, which we have the banking and the insurance industry. We were also supposed to talk about the micro, that is retail and wholesale, micro and small, medium enterprises. That is the Juakali sector, and were to be financed through cooperatives and SACCOs. Very simple, Jeff. Then we had the economic sector, then we had the social sector. The social pillar was supposed to take care of education, providing quality and affordable education, if possible free, because there was free primary education. Then in addition to that, healthcare. primary health care, affordable and of great quality. We talk about proper environment, sanitation, clean and sufficient supply of water. Simple things, Jeff. Then the last one is the political pillar, where we were talk about the justice system, reforms in the justice system. We were to talk about the reforms in the electoral process to give us proper leadership, not what we have now. We were to talk about the management of the political parties so that we don't have the problems we are experiencing with my brother Ndindi Nyoro today. Then, Jeff, before all that, we were advised that there were basic things that ought to have been done first before we implemented the 3 pillars, the economic, the political, and the social pillars. And they were simple. Number 1, the security of a state. That in the security, we were supposed to have proper police reforms. My brother and I will tell you today that we don't have a police service. We have a police force up to date. The defense was supposed to be so stable to handle terrorism so that there's stable security. Not a nation that abducts her children where tourists will be scared of coming to invest here. Because the other day at Thika Law Courts, you charge over 50 Gen Zs with terrorism charges. You call them terrorists. How can a tourist, how can an investor come to invest in this nation that is full of, in quotes, terrorists? Then we talk about the macroeconomic stability, where the prices of goods and services were supposed to be stable before we do any other thing. Inflation, stable. We talk about exchange rates, stable. Then the next one was so simple that they only required us to do proper infrastructure in the country. For us to achieve the 3 economic pillars, infrastructure, energy. Energy, right now electricity we produce close to around 3,800 megawatts. Cannot run industrialization to grow a nation. Roads, airports, and ports. We were to talk about land reforms, Jeff. What can you do? Land is a factor of production in economics. The land reforms, the historical injustices were supposed to be cured. Look at a situation where a case involving dinner management versus the county government of Mombasa, where a parcel of land was sold to a person X, was given to the former President Moi. Then former President Moi sold it to a person X. A person X sold it to dinner management, a company. But that land was a public land. So the county government of Mombasa went to court. And it was resolved in an easy way, where the basic principles of the torrent system came up. The mirror principle, the curtain principle, the insurable principle. They came out clearly. We needed to solve such issues. We needed to talk about what my brother has talked about, the human capital development, matter skills. We train our people in matter skills so that we can have better masons. We can have better plumbers. We can have better engineers. Training of people properly to achieve this. But Jeff, we ran away from all that. Then we come and tell you that, it was bottom up. We ran away from the blueprint, we said bottom up. That bottom up promised a mama mboga to graduate from a kiosk into owning a supermarket. From a boda rider riding a boda to owning a matatu. Not done yet, still in abeyance, suspended. Right now, we are talking about going to Singapore. We cannot go to Singapore, Jeff, if we can't provide the basics to a common human being in Kenya. Basic needs. We cannot go to Singapore when a common man is hungry. Jeff, a man, a woman toils, moils, wakes up very early in the morning. A dad going to Juakali. Our brothers riding a bicycle. Our mothers selling mama mboga. Some selling changa like my mother. Jeff, if you see women in a construction site carrying stones and shovel, working tirelessly so that they can just get their next meal, so that they can just get their rent for the next month, so that they can get school fee for their children, so that they can get affordable education for their children. Jeff, what has happened with us? Where is the morality in us as leaders that we want to see Kenyans suffer and we still want to go to Singapore? Will you be going to Singapore with hungry people? Feed Kenyans first. Let them have energy. Then they will have a way to go to Singapore. They even know where Singapore is. You will not take them. They will go by themselves.
They will know.
Yes.
But, you know, Rwanda will get to Singapore before us. Let's face it. You mentioned it. Double-digit growth.
Yes.
They'll get there before us. And by the way, Uganda is as small as Singapore. And Kagame has always been saying, Lee Kuan Yew, he drove that country the way Kagame is doing it.
And the beauty is that all those cases, it was deliberate.
Yeah.
Let's even not jump there. If you go, for example, to a country like China, how it grew, from around 1978, coming all the way, Deng Xiaoping's time, deliberate. If you go to, in terms of General Park in South Korea, deliberate policy. Simple line, one. South Korea was export-led economy. Just that. So everything else that the economy was doing, every production, was industrialization, which is based on exporting.
So maybe, gentlemen, let's forget about Singapore. Let's go to South Korea.
Jeff, I said the other day.
Pick a country.
Because I've been in those political issues.
Yes. Hold on. Hold that thought, Mheshimiwa. Because I want to come and talk about that. And also, where did you get this money to educate all these children in your constituency? Where's the money coming from?
I came with some chapos, I'll give you.
And gentlemen, also, both of you. In fact, I have a message here from David Ole Sankok.
A great man.
A good man, a fantastic man. Sankok says, Jeff, you are speaking. Here we go. Today you are hosting the president and his running mate. Sankok amesema hivyo. Gentlemen, think about it, man. Think about it.
The future is
it's bright.
Yes, very bright.
I have to wear shades.
Very bright.
It's very bright.
Yeah.
Folks, I told you, the Young Turks speaking without fear of contradiction. Maybe this is what we need going forward as a nation. What do you think? We're going to take a break, come back, plenty more ahead. We have Didi Nyoro in the House, Member of Parliament for Kiharo, and Babu Owino, Member of Parliament for Embakasi East. Pretty soon, it could be Mr. President and his deputy. Question is, who is whom? Keep tweeting at Kwenangi Jeff at O'Burrows at Citizen TV Kenya hashtag JKLive. JKLive takes a break. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Jeff Kwenangi Live here at Citizen Television. My goodness, it's not every day that we find two young, bright members of parliament, because we're very critical of our politicians, but these guys, I tell you, you need to listen up. Listen up. Didi Nyoro from Kiharo all the way, and Babu Owino from Embakasi East. These guys are talking it like they see it, without favor of contradiction. Gentlemen, Didi, you first. People are criticizing you, best performing MPs, both of you, amongst the best. And yet people are saying, where is this man getting the money for his NGCDF? I know he was chairman of budget. He knows where the money is. Maybe he's been able to divert some funds. Break it down for us without being too technical.
I'll not be I think the first part was very jargon-oriented because economics doesn't have times. If you have to say GDP, it has to be GDP.
Sure.
I'll be brief, but let me give you why we do it. Because it's deliberate. For Kenya to grow, and as I keep talking about it in this show, education has to be at the center of it.
Yeah.
Because to increase productivity per person, this is it, Jeff. Kenya has 50 million people. South Korea has 50 million people. South Korea has wealth per person, GDP per capita of around 36,000. Kenya,
3,000.
3,000.
They are 12 times.
Yes, that tells you one thing. For any economy to grow, deal with the person as the unit of the economy. Because what we end up calling the economy up here is the amalgamation of me as an economic agent, then the household as the economic agent, the farm, you sum that, it becomes the economy. So productivity per person is very important. Now, what education does, is to add value to human capital. I hope you get that. You see the way you pick mangoes, you take to an industry, to add value, it becomes juice. To add value to a human being, as an agent of the economy, you add value through education. Healthcare deals with servicing. So the reason why in Kiharu, everything rotates around education, it is because it is education that builds roads. It is investing in education that builds all the other things. And I'm not saying we don't do those things, but I'm just saying why most of the things around CDF in Kiharu rotate around there. Now, Kiharu has 112 public primary schools. It is the largest, it's the top 2 largest rural constituency from our region. So it's a very large constituency. Because our 2 neighbors combined, Madhya and Kagema, you know those places? Kiharu is still larger. But I'm saying that in good faith, just for comparison purpose. So out of all, and I'm coming now to answer your question, but I have to paint a picture so that we see what is doable in Kenya. Of all the 112 public primary schools, all of them are well done. We built classrooms where we needed to build, renovated the old structures, and all pupils in Kiharu, they step on tiles. I know for you, Jeff, tiles is not a big deal.
Yeah, I was saying, okay, so what's the big deal?
Yeah, I know. But I'm sure most of the people are relating.
Yes.
The kind of rural schools that we have. Yes. We have 65 day secondary schools. We have done a lot in them, built laboratories, etc., etc., etc.
Where's the money coming from?
Now, I'm coming there. We now run Kiharu Masomo Bora, which we launched yesterday, where learners, not few, we have 12,000 day scholars in Kiharu across the 65 day secondary schools. The only school fees they pay is 500 shillings. And they eat in school from Monday to Saturday.
Every one of them.
And last Friday of the month, they eat chapati.
No.
And then we buy revision books for them. Like now we have done 10 million. In the previous years, we have done 20 cumulative. We have put in a kitty of 50 million for laboratories and other critical infrastructure to deepen knowledge. Because there is expansion of infrastructure, but there is also deepening of knowledge. Deepening of knowledge, you will need laboratories, libraries, and such. How do we do it and where do we get the money? Jeff, there is no enough money anywhere, but there is also no small money. It depends with what you do with it. When I was elected in my first term, we decided that if we continue doing the norm, we'll do nothing in terms of what is visible, given the expansiveness of Kiharu. So, what did we do? We took all the data of Kiharu infrastructure that is needed, and we decided we are going to be data-driven. Number 2, we standardized. What do I mean? And I'm just talking fast to break down. If you go to any classroom in Kiharu, it is almost identical. The door, the window, whatever we do is more or less identical.
Cut and paste.
Yes, standardization is very important. Then, the breaker is the method we use called labor-based. It's very intensive in terms of time, very, very intensive. But we do labor-based. What is this and what is the difference? You take to school A, 1 million shillings in Kiharu. You take to school AX in another constituency, 1 million. Let's use 1 million. So this 1 million you take in another place, you give a contractor, 2 things happen. After you launch as the MP, and you leave the gate after shairis have been said for you by the students, makofi imepigwa na wazazi. By the time you leave the gate, you leave with 160,000 shillings. Do you know what that means?
Tell me.
In 1 million, 160,000, you live in Kenya, you know what I mean?
Yes.
What?
It's ka-chink.
VAT. Because in every BQ of government, there is a remnant of VAT on the total sum. Then, number 2, you give a contractor. By the time you leave the gate, remember a contractor is not an NGO. So more give or take in Kenya, contractors get that % of the total. So that's 300,000.
1/3, yeah.
By the time you are leaving the gate, you have walked away with 460,000.
Yeah, almost 500,000.
Yes. So actually took to the school 540,000. So in Kiharu, what did we do? We trained our own people in my first term, 150 people on how to do tiling because we knew it would be a critical element of our work where we had deficiencies in skill. We also did professional painting of 150, normal people who do the works, and we taught them professional painting. Those are the two gaps we had realized. There was deficiency in terms of skill. So we are able to do double work for the same money. Now,
okay, tell me, hold that thought. Huh? Yes. What's the population of Kiharu?
Kiharu voters is around over 120,000.
120K.
Yes.
Babu, population of Embakasi East.
154,000 registered voters.
It's not so far away, yeah?
Yeah.
It's not that far away from Kiharu, huh?
Yeah.
Can I finish with the...
Yeah, real quick.
The last one.
Yes.
So that my brother also, because he's done also very well, he can also jump in. Now, that is the hard part of education, because we categorize education in two ways in Kiharu. There is the hard part, and there is the soft part. The hard part is infrastructure. We built even new schools, like 7 new secondary schools, but I don't want to keep on tabulating. I want to go to the main issue. So there is the hard part of education, which you have to do. There is no two way about it, Jeff, because it is needed, and you can't talk about now the soft part, which I will talk about, before you have the right infrastructure.
Right.
So our focus now is turning to the soft side, because we have done so much in the hard part. The soft part is what? After you build this infrastructure, can learners be maintained in school? That's the soft part. Having the learners now in school. That is why we started Kiharu Masomo Bora, 12,000 learners, 65-day secondary schools, covering everyone who goes to school there, including non-Kiharu residents. You get that?
Yeah.
And the primary basis of that program is Kiharu NGCDF. And I would have told you other things, like beyond that program, building infrastructure, there is motivation of even taking principles to Dubai, and so many other spices that we put.
And chapatis every last Friday.
That people can compete.
I'll be coming on Fridays.
In terms of
Babu,
compete.
Yes.
You are very...
In terms of education.
Yeah, you are very popular. You've really concentrated a lot on bursaries, right?
Yes.
A lot of kids, destitute, desperate kids. Bursaries. Where's the money coming from, man?
Jeff, number one, so long as you're doing development that is meant for the public, it doesn't matter where money comes from, so long as that money goes to the public, because it belongs to the public. We are given money, NGCDF, a percentage given for bursaries and other departments, and I would support my brother Ndindinyoro by stating clearly that even you don't have even to explain where money is coming from, Ndindi, so long as that money is going to the people. Because who is benefiting is not you. It's the students who are benefiting from your program. And that is what we need. Those people who have a problem with Ndindi, they are people who fear reasoning. These are people who are ordinary leaders. We need extraordinary leaders, not just ordinary leaders. Jeff, when it comes to bursaries, the reason why I focus on education so much is because I'm a product of education. Were it not for education, Jeff, I would have never come to Nairobi. I came to Nairobi in the year 2007. For education. Were it not for education, I would have never been a student leader. Were it not for education, I would have never been a member of parliament. Jeff, the same opportunity that I was given while I was in primary school, while I was in secondary school, while I was at the university, is the same opportunity that I wake up every single day in the morning to give to a child, to put a smile on the face of that child. Because I know, Jeff, that if a child tells me, if a parent tells me that their children have no school fees, at some point in life I lacked fees. I know what it is to lack fees. If a parent or a person tells me that they are sleeping without food, they are going hungry, I know what hunger is. I've slept without food at some point in my life. And therefore, because of that, Jeff, I know what my mom went through. We held our first fundraiser, Jeff, to take me to Kisumu Boys High School. The guest of honor, a respectable man that up to date, I educate his child. And it is because of the love that I have for him. What he had, he gave us all. He had 200 shillings. We collected a total of 900 Kenya shillings.
900?
900 Kenya shillings. But people were coming so happy to contribute for me. The house was full. Removing 10 shillings, 20 shillings. Because of that 10 shillings, Jeff, I'm here today as a member of parliament. And that is why when it comes to education of a child in this nation, I will do everything and stop at nothing to ensure that I give my people bursaries. And I'm going to do it from the date 20th day of January 2026. I'm going to communicate on my program on how I'll issue bursaries to my people. Because, Jeff, I would rather not build roads, but educate a child. That child will come and build roads. Because I can build a road after 10, 15 years, the road is done. But if I educate a child, that child will come and build these roads. Jeff, a parent, even those who didn't go to school like my own mom, wakes up very early in the morning just to sell mboga. Very early in the morning, doing very odd jobs. You get out of this place, tomorrow morning when you come here, Jeff, you will find our mothers outside here, going to wash clothes, seated in rain.
At Kasuku Center, I see them all the time.
Center, Jeff.
Yes.
Just looking for 200 shillings so that they can educate their children. But I want to advise them never to give up. It doesn't matter how much time it will take, but that child that you are struggling for as a parent, one day will remove you from that son.
So why, Didi, why are MPs from Wajir Northeastern, why are they criticizing you then? What's the deal?
Jeff, if I can defend my brother.
Yes.
They lack a vision. That is as simple as that. They are on a mission, but they lack a vision. A mission to destroy the lives of those who elected them. But we have a vision to transform this nation into a better place. Jeff, me and you, we individuals, life is temporal. Tomorrow we will not be here. The greatest legacy that I want to leave behind is a legacy that I will be told that you took my child to school. That a person one day in life will tell me, Babu, because of you, I'm a doctor. Because of you, I'm a teacher. Because of you, I'm a business person. That is the legacy that I want to leave. Jeff, let me tell you one thing as a leader. That a mango does not eat a mango fruit. A guava does not eat itself. The mango fruit is eaten by the eater. But the MPs who are criticizing development, they are mangoes who are eating themselves. For us, we want to offer. We want to offer to be eaten. We want to offer to be used, even misused by our constituents, as long as we deliver them to the city of victory.
I think on that question, Jeff, I also want to extend respect to the leaders because
they're not respecting you. Clearly, they're not respecting you.
I have not seen any, unless maybe I have not seen any directly doing so, because and I'm saying so because every area has its own dynamics, and nasijaribu kutetea mtu. And they have their own whatever they want to achieve. And I think what we are doing is just to show that there are some things that are doable. And I demonstrated, even as I come in for my colleagues, I demonstrated yesterday, Jeff, that there are some things collectively we can do as leaders, myself and the other members of parliament, that can actually go a long haul when it comes to alleviating the issues that are there in our education sector. And I'll go direct, and especially to the senior secondary schools and the solution we can provide, not just talking, but actually together provide. The current enrollment in our senior secondary schools is maybe around 3.2 million learners. And what we need to do, Jeff, is to provide, together all of us, just around 30 billion shillings to make education in our basic institution of basic education, and just citing senior secondary as an example, to make it totally free and totally free.
Okay, real quick, before we go to break. Fred Obach-Machoka, the blackest man in Black Africa. He wants to know real quick, how did Didi raise funds for development of those classrooms and feeding of the children? How do you raise the funds? Real quick, I mean, don't be too technical.
Jeff, I think I've explained the issue about how we optimize our resources. I was describing how we do labor-based and etc. But allow me to also make the point that I was trying to finish. Even as we are talking, Jeff, there are some things that must not wait for any election cycle to be made an election material.
Yes.
And I want me and all my colleagues, there is something we have to put behind us. That is providing totally free basic education to Kenyans. And I was trying to
The way Kibaki wanted it?
Yes. And I'm trying to give an example of senior secondary school in 1 minute. We need around 30 billion shillings to make all our day schools free and totally free, including lunch program, because that is the kind of fees.
All you need is 30 billion.
We need 30 billion as a country. And my proposal is this way, Jeff, because I believe it's doable now, because great ideas must not be postponed. No. CDF, currently we have a budget of 15 billion nationally. So Kiharu, for example, now is receiving 202 million shillings. So every constituency is receiving an average of 200 million shillings. We can collectively, as colleagues, actually say that, or come up with a conclusion, we need to give up 10 billion shillings to go into a kitty. We may call day school, we may call it day school kitty. Our governors also give bursaries, including today's scholars. They can contribute another 10 billion shillings to that kitty.
Makes it 20?
The national government may stop the renovations we keep on doing every year. They also donate only 10 billion.
That's 30.
30.
That's 30.
So that the other problems we may end up dealing with as a member of parliament is now bursaries to borders and those in colleges and the rest. Okay. Because if we don't provide basic education totally free, we are alienating so many people out of a system that should work for everyone.
Gentlemen, why aren't you two running for president and deputy? Why aren't you taking it the next step? In fact, I want to take a break, come back and ask you, you want to run for governor of Nairobi?
I'll explain that.
Okay. What happens to Dimples?
Jeff, you know, a man without patience to even sit in class to do his own exams can never have patience to solve challenges that are affecting Nairobians.
Didi, how about you? Governor Muranga?
Talk about that.
Oh my. Oh my. You need to stay tuned for that. And what is this with you people flashing guns? I mean, come on. Kila mtu ako pinned siku hizi ni aje?
This time I was on the receiving.
It
was an occupational hazard.
Okay, we'll talk about that when we come back. Quick break, come back. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at O'Burrows, at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag is JKLive. Folks, I'm telling you, you may be looking at the future right here, and you didn't even know it. You can thank me for it later. Chef Koinange Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment. And just in case you did not know, you are tuned in to JKLive here at Citizen Television with two young men. One in his 40s, just barely. The other still in his 30s. These guys, these lawmakers, these backbenchers, they always call it without fear or favor. Kiara Member of Parliament Didi Nyoro, Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino. In the House, we may be looking at the future of Kenya right here. What are your thoughts? So, the other day, and you've been very outspoken about this, Didi, Safaricom shares. And you know, I'm so close to Safaricom because I was very close to former CEO, my good friend Bob Collymore, God rest his soul in peace. And now we're hearing stories that we're selling, what, 15% of our own government stake? Explain it to me like I was a 2-year-old.
Jeff, I've been speaking about this issue, and the context is that, number one, I'm a proponent of privatization.
Yeah.
Because it brings about efficiencies when companies are run in market-driven scenarios. And therefore, privatization is always good. The big problem that I have, and I am glad I have seen even the professional bodies like ISPAC have put a voice in support of the same, is that we cannot afford as Kenya to be too desperate to give Safaricom for a song. I raised this issue when it came up, and I saw the National Treasury responding to saying that they are selling it above market price. And what I saw there was dereliction of duty. Because any person who knows about how capital markets work, capital markets provide liquidity, but not necessarily valuation. And I'll give you examples. And the reason I'm saying that is because this transaction, Jeff, our country, Kenya, has the capacity to lose over 100 billion shillings.
What?
In this deal.
What?
Just by people not doing their job and for competence not being front of it. all the companies in the world, as we have seen even in the US currently, there is a sale of, this on now CNN, is on sale.
Yeah.
There are two companies bidding, that is Paramount and yes, tuna watch movie inaitwa nini? Netflix. They are also bidding to buy. It shows you that when you are selling a block stake in a company, the market ceases to be the basis of valuation. It is only used by the buyer, not the seller, because it is to the advantage of the buyer. Yeah. And I'll give you a few examples locally here. Because I'm talking it in good faith and I wish you can do the right thing. In the year 2014, I had some few shares of a company called Rea Vipingo. It was then trading at 27.5 shillings. Some guys gave up a bid. They wanted to buy us out as small shareholders. And they were buying us at 40 shillings per share.
From 27?
From 27.5. Jeff, nilikuwa nauliza hiyo pesa itafika lini? Because I thought I'm getting an upside of 45%. Yes. This is too good a deal. Your friend, the late Chris Kerobe, through Centum, petitioned CMA. They said, no, this is a listed company, you're also going to bid. And they bid for 50 shillings. The long and short of it is that the same guy who had offered us 40 shillings had to sit down even with Kerobe, negotiating, canvassing for him to get out of the deal. The negotiation, the long and short of it is that we ended up selling our shares, area 27.50, for 85 shillings.
Wow.
In a span of, I think it was 2 or 3 months. So my take has been this, and I can use many examples, many examples. Our current market has been very bearish, meaning the share prices have been very low. That's why you see banking sector, the shares are very low, and all the others. So my proposal is this, practical. If there is no ulterior motive or anyone cutting a deal and getting personal money out of this deal, why can't we let all other companies bid for Safaricom stake of 15%? And I can guarantee you, we are going to get much more than this. The second thing is this. We are selling to a company which is already part of the composition of the board of Safaricom. Definitely there is information asymmetry there.
And a conflict of interest.
Yeah, definitely, that's what I'm trying to say. So the best way to cure, even in terms of the market, where there is asymmetry of information, is to open up the bid. And I'm repeating that word because that is where the solution lies. If you look at the valuations of other telcos, just like Safaricom, and by the way, I can guarantee you, even these guys who are buying us, they also want to sell to somebody else. Because the T-Salat initially actually wanted to buy them. Yeah. But that is besides the point. The point is that if you use all the canons of valuing a company, a bank has the way they are valued in terms of price to book based on the core capital. Telcos has the way they are valued. And the simple term I may use is something called a PE ratio, price of earning ratio. Safaricom, by end of this year, will have a PE ratio of 16.1. Let me break down what PE is in a minute. PE is like this, Jeff. You buy a flat for 10 million. 10 million shillings, new bar. So, PE measures, how long would it take you to recover your 10 million using the rent?
Right.
Now in terms of years.
Correct.
So how many years will it take you to recover your money after buying, let's say, this flat? So PE ratio of Safaricom is around 16.1 by end of their financial year. If you look at other companies like Orange, their PE ratio is over 33. The guys who are buying us, Vodafone, they are listed, Vodacom themselves, because that one is owned by the other one that is listed in the JSC.
Correct.
The best their PE ratio has been is the year either 2020 or 2022. It was 40 PE ratio. Currently it's negative because the guys who are buying us are actually making losses in their parent group. So my take is, I'm not even against these guys. Let's have a sequence where Kenya gets the best value. And the best value is as follows.
Yeah.
One, we may list Safaricom. I had proposed this when I had a chance back then.
Yeah.
List Safaricom in the London stock market, LSE, exposes to the global market, so people get to know there is this profound, nice company, which is not just a telco, but a fintech, but also a tower company. Then from there, open only 3 months bid for people to bid. You'll see a Tesseract bidding, you'll see KKR bidding, Blackstone bidding. If Kenya gets more than the 2 or 4 billion and we get 350 billion, don't we all benefit as Kenyans?
Absolutely.
Jeff,
and why, Babu, wherever Bob is right now, he must be spinning in his grave.
I know, Jeff, and it's quite unfortunate when it comes to selling of Safaricom, privatization. I would disagree with it because if you ask me, Jeff, that a nation should never sell high important assets.
Yeah.
Number one, Jeff, we are selling this to Vodacom, a South African company. Safaricom is making close to around 300 billion annually. Then 50% of this money, we are selling 15% to Vodacom, but remember that there are other foreign investors who've invested in Safaricom.
Correct.
Therefore, it means that close to 50% of this 300 billion will be leaving the country into foreign countries.
Yeah.
It means that this money is leaving our country. If we would have sold Safaricom to a Kenyan, it would be better because that money stays in the country. Now, what are the effects of selling Safaricom to a foreign country? Number one, it promotes foreign absorption, where money is lost from our nation to the foreign countries.
Yeah.
Number two, the foreigners have power over this company. They can do anything with it. They have power to fire employees. Today, if they decide that they are not employing and they are firing employees, they will do so confidently. Why? Because they are the new owners as foreigners, should they come together and do probably a hostile takeover. Yeah. Then it means, Jeff, that Kenyans can even lose jobs as a result of that. This money that we are losing annually of close to around 150 billion Kenya shillings can do so much in our country. Number two, this money is sent to foreign countries in terms of dollars, right?
Yes.
So there is destabilization of the exchange rate. So that again brings a problem. Then there's another one which is being sold, which is the pipeline. You sell pipeline, it tells you that once it has been bought by a foreigner, then this person has powers to increase the cost of transportation of fuel and fuel products. The moment fuel cost is raised, it means that that cost will be met at the pump. Once it is met at the pump,
it's us who suffer.
Then it means that anything that is capable of being transported, any good or service, will go up. Then that means that there will be high cost of living. Even to a farmer in the farm, the tractors which are going there, the moment the cost of fuel is high, the tractors working on the farm, it will force the farmer to pay them because of labor and will factor that money in the price of unga, for example, the maize. Yeah. Okay? The fertilizers cost will go high because its transport cost has gone high. It means that that maize that is produced, that sukuma wiki that is produced, the price will go up. What does that do to a common mwananchi? It makes them unaffordable to a common mwananchi. Therefore, if you ask me, there are those companies that may be privatized, but they are fundamental companies that cannot be privatized. Safaricom is the greatest.
That shouldn't be for sale.
That should not.
It's a national asset.
National asset.
Real quick, Luo Kingpin ship. Real quick.
Jeff, if I want to talk about that, first of all, I want to take this opportunity to thank the great people of Nyanza region for having that trust. You saw the numbers, and numbers never lie. Numbers spoke, and that is why some of our party officials are so scared because they've seen the numbers. Jeff, we were at 33%, followed by my father, Dr. Oburu Odinga, at 10%, Gladys Wanga at 7%, and the rest at 1%, the likes of Mbadi and Wandais at 1%, and Raymond Omolo 0.something%. Jeff, that tells you clearly. But leave the Luo kingpin aside. I want to be a national kingpin, a Kenyan kingpin. That is the most important thing, Jeff, because we want to transform lives for Kenyans, irrespective of where they come from. A Luo in Kisumu experiences the same challenges as a Kikuyu in Kiharu constituency, as a Somali in Garissa, and every other place, Kenyans experience the same challenges. The challenges of corruption, challenges of unemployment, challenges of high cost of living.
Challenges of people pulling a gun on you.
Challenges of people pulling a gun on you.
What was that about, real quick?
It is about this leadership. And that was an occupational hazard. And Jeff, I want to tell you that as Babu Owino, the way I handled myself is because some of us have come from far. We've seen what damage these things can cause. And at the same time, Jeff, if David in the Bible, who was anointed by Samuel, his own father Jesse never believed in him, Jeff, because all his brothers were called. Then Samuel said, there's someone missing here. The father did not remember that person and said, oh, there's one who is a shepherd. Bring that shepherd here. Jeff, if David would have been annoyed, if he would have become emotional that he wanted to dismiss or fight his father, he would have never been a king. The same time when he was going to the field to take lunch for his brothers who were going to fight Goliath, brothers told him, David, what are you doing here? You should be looking after the sheep. This is not your war. If he would have been emotional and fought his brothers, he would have never been a king. So sometimes, Jeff, the opinion of a sheep does not matter to a lion.
So what do we tell Robert Alai real quick? He's watching right now. What do you tell him?
Robert Alai is a leader, just like myself. And I want to tell you, Jeff, today, that I have no problems, not a single problem with Robert Alai. But I know there's a clearly cut pattern of violence that is being planned to be met on myself from the state. And it started at Kisumu, the sports ground, where one Raymond Omolo was organizing goons to beat me so that I don't go and view Baba's body. Number two, at Baba's burial, goons were organized so that I could not access. The same Raymond Omolo employs Alai on a weekly basis, given 300,000 Kenya shillings. So, Jeff, the same time you saw what happened. So I know there's a pattern. So this is a war against the state. It is the state that is against me.
Are you worried for your health, for your safety?
Jeff, that is the least of my worries. Why? Because you and I, Jeff, at one point, we will leave. We will go. The question is, as you live, as you die, one day, because we will die, memento mori, that at the right time, everybody's time will come to pass. Before we die, the question is, what legacy do you want to leave? I want to leave a legacy of transforming lives to the better. I want to be that person that will change evil into good, will change challenges into solutions. That is the most important thing for me, but not about death. Death, even Baba Raila Amolo Odinga, and by the way, that is the last boss that I've had. I will never have any other boss again. That man, we never believed Raila could leave us. But Jeff, life is so fickle.
Yeah, I died too, at some point.
You died too the other day, but...
Diddy, what are your plans? What's your ambition? Is Moranga too small for you? You want to go the whole hog?
It's not small, neither the job I have is either not small, because many people look for the positions we occupy. We are privileged to have that opportunity. Even when I vied to be MP for Kiharu, especially in my first term, we were a lineup of many qualified Kenyans. And I am glad that I got that opportunity. So it's a big job, and I am very, very privileged and grateful to have it. And in generality, Jeff, what I can say, and especially because I know there are many young, youthful politicians who are watching us, and those who would want to venture into politics. Just to share my opinion out of experience, I have seen that in Kenya, we have a very high supply of aspirants of whatever position, which is good. I mean, that is democracy. But we have a lot of work to do in having leaders in waiting. I want you to have those two definitions, and especially those who are watching, especially those who want to venture into politics. I have been involved in even the national campaign, as you know. Yes. I have been involved in my own campaign, being elected. And I have come to observe that many times we are very obsessed with wanting to gain power. And therefore, we put in all our resources in capturing power. And power is important because you can't bring about change when you don't have the instruments of power. But I've seen, and especially given this campaign that we did, you can easily get elected, but probably you are not prepared from day one. So when you get elected in whichever position, MP, president, governor, and you had not actually figured out, and you are not a leader in waiting in terms of you already understood the job, you prepared for it, what ends up happening is that a lot of time is spent doing nothing because the leader is being capacitated, first of all, in terms of learning. Yeah. Let me bring this home because I want to do it with as much respect as possible to everyone. When President Kibaki took over, you could tell the man was prepared. He was prepared because he was around and he had reserved time to also know what Kenya needs. So that's why immediately he was sworn in, within 100 days, we had free basic education. So if you realize now the same, you put it in this economy now, you realize we have spent so much time learning in the job. So when you spend so much time learning in the job, then you ask yourself as a leader, to whose advantage is that? Because by the time you are being employed by the Kenyan people, you must be very ready that from day one, you're already doing some changes. So I've been taking a lot of time, and I can tell you in terms of even talking to so many leaders about this, and also talking to myself, that Kenya, in whatever position, whatever our aspirations, be that person who, if you are called for the job today, do you have the capacity to do it in terms of, do you understand Kenya, what Kenya needs, or do you understand your constituency,
are you ready?
MP, whatever it is, so that by the time it comes, you can do the changes.
Okay, Didi, break it down for me, real quick. Break it down for me. Governor Maranga?
I'm looking for better words and an answer that is not a political answer.
Go on.
The way I run my politics, Jeff, because all of us have their own arena.
Give me a quick answer.
Is that the job you already have, do it so well. And don't waste so much time thinking about yourself. Think about Kenya first. And I can tell you without breaking of an eye, every time you do your job that well, just the same way you do it here, things align for you in many respects. So as it is now, and I'm not giving you a political answer, that is from my heart. I do my job as MP for Kiharu the best way I can. I offer alternative, even for the national leadership in terms of policies, like the one I've done for
What party? What party?
Party?
What party would you run?
Hey, Jeff, it is too early.
Oh, man.
We are 15 months to elections.
17. I counted it today.
17, eh?
Yeah, August, yeah.
And I'm sure this bench will still be around.
We'll be smoking.
In terms of, it's not even the right strategy to think about that now.
Well, Babu wants to be governor of Nairobi. We all know this. Ask Dimples.
Exactly the point. Everybody.
Not once will be.
Babu, what party?
Jeff, let me come and then I explain this because Babu's name is bigger than any political party in this country. If you go to Garissa, they know Babu Owino. So I'm saying with a lot of humility and allow me to be humble.
Yes.
Jeff, a story is told in the book of Matthew 25:14-30 that a master had his 3 servants. He wanted to be crowned as a king at a nearby place. Then he called his 3 servants. To the first servant, he gave 5 minas. To the second servant, he gave 2 minas. And to the last servant, he gave 1 mina. Then he went. He was crowned a king, came back. Then he called the 3 servants and asked them, whatever I gave you, the little that I gave you, how did you spend it?
Yes.
The first servant said, you gave me 5. I doubled it, invested it, and here are the 10. And that servant was given 10 cities to take care of. The second servant said, you gave me 2. I've invested it, here are 4. He was given 4 cities to take care of. The last servant said that, Master, I knew you. I knew that you're a very bad person. And I knew that if you come back, you would ask for your money. Therefore, I dug a hole and hid it. Here it is. Then the master did what? Sent away that servant because that servant was an irresponsible servant.
And he took
like Wama Dimples. like Wamadimples. And that is why the saying goes, the little that you have shall be taken away from you and given to those who have. Jeff, I want to tell you that in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God himself. That is John 1:1. And lastly, Jeff, a seed has a potential of becoming a forest. When you take a seed and you plant it, that seed will be a tree. That tree will produce many fruits and seeds. Those seeds will produce many other trees. Those trees will form a forest. And I want to tell you today, Jeff, without blinking, that the juice is what the squeeze in Nairobi City County, that the Nairobi City County is a graveyard of garbage, is a cemetery of corruption, and we must correct those wrongs. And today I will tell you, Jeff, and I tell you today before the Almighty God, by God's grace, that we are going to be the next governor of Nairobi. But again, I will leave a window because I received around 9,000 messages, inbox, 9 million, not 9,000, 9 million, telling me to go for president. Then 8.9 telling me to go for governor. Then 5 million telling me that I tell Didi to be my deputy. Or, but you've seen even messages, they're saying between Didi and Babu.
Yes.
Didi can be president, Babu can be deputy.
Exactly.
Babu can be president, Didi can be deputy. But by the end of the day, there's still a window.
There's a window.
We can decide. And if we decide because we are two great leaders, with number one, intellect, the qualities required, both of us, we have it. Number two, political acumen. Number three, we have the passion and energy to work for the people.
And you have youth on your side.
The youthful vote. Oh my.
Oh my.
And finish somebody.
Fantastic. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. All of this coming back with business and sports, and then we'll come back with more feedback. So, my goodness, can't make this stuff up. Business News, up next.
Thanks, Jeff. I had to Google a symmetry of information, and we do have a report on Safaricom coming up. But first, scrap metal dealers are urging the government to urgently review its decision allowing the importation of scrap steel, warning the move threatens the survival of local businesses that rely on domestically sourced scrap. Our reporter, Dennis Otieno, has those details.
Scrap metal dealers across the country say the continued importation of scrap steel is unfair and has left them struggling to stay afloat.
All the steel scrap that is normally produced in Kenya is usually sold locally. But if you look at whatever is being imported, is over 10 times more than what is generated here. So we find ourselves sinking with our scrap, sinking with our scrap. You go and engage the steel millers, they tell you we have full capacity, we have enough scrap, what they have imported. And mark you, the government has banned the export of scrap.
The dealers want the government to prioritize locally sourced scrap.
If we have to work together, let them buy our scrap first. Let they be given a quota, like 25% of their production comes from local market, 75% from import.
Beyond imports, the traders are also raising concerns over the high cost of compliance, saying multiple licenses have made it expensive to operate in the sector.
Currently, a scrap metal license goes for 250,000. That is one license. That is from the Scrap Metal Council. A NEMA license goes for 85,000 shillings. Then we have the local government licenses. If you go to a place like Nakuru charges 100,000 shillings. Nairobi is 20,000 shillings. All that consolidated. Nairobi has another license that's calling itself the recycle license. That's 10,000 shillings. All these things put together, for you to open a business, you find out you coughing up to like 500,000 shillings, which very, very few people in the industry can be able to accommodate.
The industry has in the past been linked to vandalism of public infrastructure, a vice authorities say has significantly reduced through collaboration between dealers, police and other agencies.
The infrastructure is for us and for our generations and the generations to come after us. Therefore, we are to safeguard it at all cost. And so far, we have managed to reduce it to at least to 70%.
And as an association, we've broadened our hands to ensure that any member of us that engages in any errant activity, is delisted and possibly taken to court.
With an estimated over 4,000 scrap metal operators nationwide, the association plans to meet the president later this year as it seeks government intervention to strengthen the industry. Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Kenyan exporters have received a major reprieve after the United States Congress passed a bill extending the African Growth and Opportunity Act for a further 3 years, and that is the House of Representatives. It is intended to move to the Senate. The move safeguards duty-free access for Kenyan goods to the U.S. market, sustaining thousands of jobs, particularly in the textile and apparel sectors. The extension offers short-term certainty as Kenya continues discussions with the U.S. on a long-term bilateral trade agreement. According to the Ministry of Trade in Kenya, the textile and apparel sectors employ over 80,000 people directly and an additional 250,000 indirectly. CS Lee Kinyanjui says the uncertainty that had engulfed the sector will now give way to renewed confidence and expansion. The ministry committing to grow exports of additional products under the AGOA framework beyond textiles, to ensuring that Kenya fully leverages this opportunity to create jobs and generate wealth. The partial sale of the 15% stake in Safaricom by the government is set to cost the National Treasury over 3.3 billion shillings. The funds will cater for the charges to transaction advisors and will be paid upon completion of the 244.2 billion shillings. This now raises questions from members of parliament on why Treasury could not rely on its own capacity. And as Jimmy Mbogo reports, these are not the only charges the government will have to meet the transaction.
His presentation before the joint sitting of the National Assembly Committee on Finance and National Planning, together with the Select Committee on Public Debt and Privatization, Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi outlined some of the likely costs that the transaction will attract. Among the notable transaction costs is the 1.36% brokerage fee charged to cater to transaction advisors, which will see the government pay upwards of 3.3 billion shillings. The government will also pay an additional NSE transaction levy of 0.012%, translating to about 29.3 million shillings, a Central Depository and Settlement Corporation CDSC levy of 0.08, translating to about 195.3 million shillings, an additional 0.01 to the Guarantee Fund, as well as CMA Compensation Fund at a rate of 0.1%, translating to a total of 48.48 million shillings.
You have made it clear in your presentation that it was a negotiated sale between Government of Kenya and Vodacom. Then if that would mean that it was DOK here and Vodacom here agreeing on this particular transaction, so then why then would we need to engage a brokerage firm and pay them, I think that will be around 3.3 billion shillings when it looks like it's a direct sale from GOK to Vodacom? Why did we need to engage a brokerage firm and pay them in excess of 3 billion shillings?
But Chairman, for us to even arrive at that negotiated price, we needed a professional transaction advisor. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to, because even the valuation and the calculation on how much, all this was done by a transaction advisor, and I read them. So if we just went to negotiate, these are shares in a listed company. It's different from going to the lake and asking, I want to buy this fish. You have to have a basis and a solid one.
Treasury further coming under scrutiny for not using its own experts, with the CS being forced to justify why Treasury settled on the Kenya Commercial Bank, KCB Capital, the investment arm of the lender, as its lead transaction advisor.
There is a department with a PS in charge of these public investments, isn't it? What does it do if not to advise on such issues.
I think you probably need to explain to Kenyans more why, despite having all those people in the National Treasury, all those advisors, then you have to go and get different advisors to advise on this particular transaction.
How many percentage of control or ownership is government of Kenya owning in KCB to be regarded as a government entity and qualifies direct procurement?
We could do a fantastic job as a ministry, and if we didn't have a transaction advisor, it would be a problem. Because we would have been asked, who told you? But now, at least we have a transaction advisor. Just like a doctor, you can be a perfect and excellent doctor, but you can't treat yourself. So when we have transaction advisors, a lot of time we have running contracts with these transaction advisors. And when you have running contract, you can directly procure the fiscal agent, in this case KCB.
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Dairy farmers from Kabianga in Kericho County are appealing to the government to increase the price of milk to 50 shillings a litre, as had been earlier promised. The farmers say milk production has dropped by 40% due to the high cost of animal feed, while the current price of milk stands at 42 shillings. President William Ruto had earlier this week promised that the government will address the challenges in payments.
So the 42 shillings, which was not actually meeting the demands of the farmer, there's nothing in the pocket of the farmer. Feeds has been so challenging. The feed prices, like the dairy mill.
Our farmers late last year had gone for more than 3 months without payment. So this late payment actually brought other things. Our farmers had to sell, some had to sell their animals to cater for other needs because of the feeding.
Hatutaki wakulima wangoje miezi 2-3 ati malipo yao ya maziwa. Hakuna maziwa inapatiwa mtu kwa credit. Si ndio? Kila mtu tuwachane hapo, kila mtu akipata haki yake anatoka. So we have agreed on what to do and we are carrying out reforms in that sector. Huyu Kilemi ambaye ni PS wa sekta hiyo nimemweleza what to do.
Gor Mahia pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in the Kenya Premier League this season, coming from a 2-0 down to edge out Murang'a Seal 3-2 at the Kasarani Stadium. Seal took a 2-0 first lead before Gor Mahia scored 3 times in the second half. Murang'a were the better side in the first half, scoring the opener in the 4th minute of the match through Joe Waithera. Before Gor Mahia settled in the match, keeper Gad Matthews was caught off his line, with Francis Memusi doubling this lead for the visitors for a 2-0 lead at halftime. Gor Mahia were lethal in the second half, scoring 2 quick goals in the 47th and 49th minutes through Felix Uluoch and Paul Ochuoga. Gor Mahia increased the pressure on Murang'a and were rewarded 8 minutes from time with a goal by new signing Ebenezer Asifwa. With the win, Gor Mahia dislodged AFC Leopards from the top of the Kenya Premier League table. Team Kenya to the World Cross Country Championship is safely back home, with the last and final group arriving on Wednesday morning. The first group arrived on Tuesday night with medalists Agnes Jebet Ngetich, Franklin Kibet and Andrew Kipto Alamisi. The second group arrived on Wednesday morning at 6 a.m, with the final group arriving an hour later. Kenya once again asserted its dominance on the global stage, finishing top of the medal table for the 3rd consecutive year. The team delivered an impressive haul of 9 medals, comprising 3 gold, 4 silver and 2 bronze medals. Senior men 10-kilometer bronze medalist Daniel Ebenyo termed the experience as a privilege that will shape his 2026.
This means a lot to me. It's just the opening of the season, so inamaanisha nimefungua mwaka vizuri, and I'm so happy. At long last, I've been trying to to make podiums in all championships, but nakwanga number four, which is so painful, but I didn't give up. I fight, and finally.
It feels good to have a medal, at least at your neck when you go for out. It's so much exciting, and you feel more privileged, and I think it's good. Yeah, it had something in your life, not even in the medal, but it opens another new chapter.
Hongera Team Kenya. Dismas Indiza has thrown down the gauntlet early at the APSA Invitational Tournament, the 9th leg of the Sunshine Development Tour East Africa Swing at the Thika Greens Golf Resort. Indiza's score of 5 under par, 66, is 2 strokes better than 3 players tied in second position. Indiza showed his intentions early with an eagle in the second hole, then picked birdies in the 4th and 6th holes, going Jeff, your favorite word? Bogey? Free and 4 shots under in the front 9. On the back 9, Indiza was 6 under par after picking 2 more back-to-back birdies in the 13th and 14th holes. His only blemish was a bogey in the 11th hole. Nyeri Golf Club's Mutahi Kibugu, Limuru Country Club's Taimur Malik, and Uganda's Willie Deus are in a 3-way tie.
Play the same conditions, so I left a few putts there, but hey, guess what? Any under par any day, I'll take it.
My form is good. I'm starting to play really good golf. Towards the end of last year, I started to almost win some events. So yeah, it's showing some good signs, and I'm just going to continue that good form. I just have to stick to my game plan, stay confident, and yeah, just not shy away from winning.
In preparing to play more better and better, but I started struggling with greens, putting 3 times, which couldn't cause me scores of bogeys from back 9, but I end up even par, which is not bad.
Yeah.
Jeff, bogey always gets me.
Bogey. Bogey, and it's not bogey as in a team. Bogey and
Bogey,
you got a bogey.
Bogey.
Yeah. Listen, by the way, there's more sports out there happening right now. A little earlier on, AFCON. AFCON has reached the semifinals. Senegal against Egypt earlier on.
Ooh, big game.
Guess who won?
Egypt?
No.
Senegal?
Yes. 1-0.
Go Senegal?
Yeah, so they're going straight to the finals.
What are the teams called?
Senegal is called the Lions of Teranga.
Okay.
Right?
So the Lions took it?
Yes.
Okay.
And right now, as we speak, it's halfway. Morocco, the hosts, hosting Nigeria. 0-0 at halftime.
Okay, so Senegal will take on whoever wins.
Correct.
Between Nigeria and Morocco.
Smoking.
Huge.
And Carabao Cup, Chelsea, Arsenal. Ngapi. Can enable Ngapi.
Chelsea trailing 1-0.
Oh, I don't want to say that. Okay.
Oh, yeah, because you're a Chelsea fan.
Yeah.
Babu, you're a what fan?
Chelsea.
Manchester United.
Number 9.
Whatever.
Gentlemen, we've had a flood of comments.
Okay, so we go
we'll try and cover as many as we can.
Okay.
We, unfortunately, because of the number, will not be able to get to everyone, but we'll try.
I'm sure you people are getting your own comments.
As many as possible.
All
right, so we begin with Bob Ndolo, who says, this question is directed to Honorable Ndindi Nyoro regarding a tweet he published in 2023 concerning General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo of the Rapid Support Forces in Sudan. Does he still maintain or support the position expressed in that statement? 2, following the passing of Baba, does Honorable Nyoro still uphold his earlier characterization of Baba as the Lord of Poverty in Kenya? Do you want them to take them one at a time, Monica, or... Because he's taking notes. Okay, tufanye tukienda.
Real quick.
Okay. Tukienda,
So, Hamdani?
It was immediately the fight broke in Sudan. And I actually updated both leaders. Because I thought many of us didn't actually know the main players.
Yeah.
So I actually only posted the photo of Dagalo. I don't know him. And the other, the current leader of the army.
Yes.
SAF.
The SAF now.
Yeah.
I posted actually both of them. So there was nothing more than information. The other issue is that, Jeff, you know, in politics we keep on growing. That is a fact that we have to live with. We keep on amending our conclusions about situations and about people. And in the process, there are things we do that we can always improve. And one of the things I've learned from the past is that I may not want to play any other politics of personal attacks because it doesn't help me, it doesn't help the country. Issues are better when they are resolved and when they are spoken upon. And therefore, I think that was part of the learning process.
All right, Bob, I hope that answers your questions. This is Caleb Ikenya. What is their view on the price Kenya needs to pay in terms of economic freedom and posterity in order to catch up with the many nations that share the same potential as us? Mheshimiwa Babu?
Yeah, what do we need to do?
This is simple from Caleb. I think what we need to do as a nation, Kenya has the money that we need, Kenya has resources, we just lack proper leadership. And we have to make it right in 2027. The moment we get the right leaders, not dealers, then Kenya will be headed into the right direction because we also have a blueprint that was made in 2008, the Vision 2030. Let us just follow that. Let's not come up with anything new.
All right. All right, Caleb, I hope that answers your question. Yes, go ahead.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
All right. I think that issue is very critical because it answers the overall of the discussion today. Number one is honest leadership. One of the ingredients I've seen in terms of taking a country forward is actually honesty in wanting to do it. Because many times we seek for power as politicians, that honesty has to be there. The second thing, of all the countries we've been citing in this show, starting from the West, Asian tigers, one thing stands out. Public money must always remain public, so that we also let the public sector, the private sector, to thrive. I'm talking about corruption in another way. And as I said before, when you distort economic incentives, then you give people a leeway to do shortcuts. And I think that is something that we need to do and work upon. Because when you amass money, Olives, when you look around for the wealthiest people in Kenya, and especially power-related, you see wealth. But what is that wealth? That wealth is possession. Until we are at a situation where we start treating the wealth that we have as capital, then we are not going to invoke the real energy that is needed for our economy to grow, not gradually. Our economy can't grow gradually. We need to grow so fast for us to catch up.
All right. This is another question for you. Good evening, Jeff. Please ask Nyoro if students are being asked for a 6,000 clearance fee in Kiharu in order to collect certificate of primary school. Are you equipped to answer that particular question?
There is a problem about primary schools across Kenya because I talked to many stakeholders in the education sector. In many respects, you realize that primary schools are paying quite a hefty amount of money, together with JSS, and especially JSS for food. The government must deliberately revise the capitation for primary schools, because that is what is making the heads of our institutions to look for other alternatives. Olive, the kind of capitation we had 20 years ago is the same one we have today, despite the inflationary pressures that have been there. So that is an issue that we have to confront, amend, so that when we talk about free basic education, it is indeed free.
All right. Could Honorable, this is Bokaya FM1, could Honorable Babu Kwa Sababu kindly tell us he belongs to which camp in ODM now that the party is struggling to find its footing in Kenyan politics after the death of Baba?
Thank you, Olive, and thank you, Bokaya. Tunasema babu kwa sababu, bila babu tabu, baada ya baba ni babu. Now, when it comes to ODM politics, I know a lot has been said, but I want to say that we are insisting that we call for NDC. Let the delegates come and decide. And Babu, together with other youthful leaders, I encourage youth and women to take up party positions. Babu is going to be your next party leader. The people have spoken. Vox populi, vox dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God.
All right.
This one real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Look at it. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
It's Minda Trevor says, Honorable Didi Nyoro, you previously indicated that you would lead countrywide demonstrations. Kenyans are asking, what became of this plan? Were the demonstrations shelved, postponed, or abandoned altogether? The public deserves clarity.
Jeff, it was 4 days before the opening of schools, because since the schools closed for the last term, that is last academic year, I knew that the government was planning to increase school fees for high school by a whopping 9,374 shillings. They had already sent a circular. And I decided to take up that matter singularly, because if we did that, so many learners would have been disadvantaged. And I gave an ultimatum that the government must release a different circular, showing that there is no such, or they are shelving that increment, which they did. Unfortunately, they didn't send the money that was supposed to be sent. Because for senior secondary school, for example, they sent 26 billion shillings. There was debt of 22.5 billion for the previous year. Yeah. Basically, this first term, the government has only sent 3.5 billion shillings to our senior secondary schools, which translates to only 109 shillings
per student.
And we are giving them up to midterm. Jeff, I'm repeating many times. As you know, in Parliament now, there is no this side and the other. We have to do what is right for our country. Yeah. And we are not going to watch as any leader plays around with free basic education.
Okay.
All right. Let's quickly sample some of the comments that have greeted your contributions tonight on JKL. This is Titus, who says, the only sober and visionary leaders capable of taking Kenya into real Singapore, if not for tribal and politics of deceit, Babu and Ndindi are the best bet for the presidency to transform Kenya. Ipo siku, anasema hivyo. Let's see, this is Idris Mohamed Garbatula, Isiolo County. Even as we laud the two legislators, we should also applaud the late Isiolo South MP Mohamed Tubi, who made secondary school free from the beginning of his tenure to the end. He's gone now, but the free education for all in Isiolo South is still on. This is Leonard Masika B. The ticket to Singapore has been cancelled. Instead, we're heading to Kiharu constituency to have Honorable Ndindi Nyoro to show us his ways and tell us what he is doing, which other MPs are not doing. May Kenyans listen to Honorable Ndindi Nyoro and Honorable Babu. We know, may they live longer.
I think Jeff, you should say thank you for those.
Jeff, do you want to take this one?
Absolutely. This is Angel. Is it Angel?
Angel Mbudia.
Yeah, Mbudia, yeah. These gentlemen are the true epitome. See, epitome of Kenya's youth leadership. Bold, brilliant, and bumbulous. Bumbulous. Okay. They deserve the space they occupy. I know the two legends. Legends, and they are capable members of my generation. Do not lose hope. Our moment is here. Let's seize it. Wow.
That's an amazing lady. All right, the Baddies shop. Ndindi has some very great brains. Babu would be a very good executioner of the ideas oozing from this man. This is the duo we need in office. How wazee wengine waende wakule pension. This is Litu Dunya. At some point, the question stops being why Kiharu? It becomes why not everywhere else? Is Kiharu constituency getting more NGCDF than other constituencies? Kenyans need to have honest conversation on this, and Kenyans deserve an answer on this. In fact, let's ignore, I think it continues, right?
In fact, let's ignore.
Does it? Okay, okay, we don't have the second part there.
Caleb Ikenya again says, men not defined by ethnic constraints, but by a desire to unify the Kenyan people. Indeed, an economist and an advocate, both protecting the economic gains while guarding the temple of justice. Yeah. All the best, mentors.
All right, this is El Nangila, 1691-69-1. The two gentlemen are really doing Kenya proud. Tell Ndindi 2027 is not too early. And whisper to Babu his exam 001 is fixing Nairobi. Nairobi, no, he is fit for the job. No doubt, ni tu unafagia sitting room before uingie bedroom state. Alright, hiyo kidogo imechanganya. This is Ouma Neko who says, Ndindi Nyoro doesn't need posters, slogans, or a party godfather. He worked. Kiharu saw roads, schools, water, jobs. Results speak. Leaders in Luo Nyanza must learn this hard truth. Serve voters, not party kings. Development beats loyalty oaths. Work wins elections. Jeff, you can take this one.
Absolutely. Engineer Lazaro says the future of this nation belongs to the firebrand young leaders. But they must first of all seek advice from experienced old guards and then come to us for approval. Babu, usiende speedy sana. Consult.
All right. This is Carol Tifa. Pass my regards to our MP Ndindi Nyoro and ask him to consider the Maragua Mirichu Road. It's bad.
Maragua Mirichu, eh?
All right.
This Sandra
Trippin
says, I hope the other team is watching you guys. You two single-handedly can take us to Singapore.
All right. This is Karaoke 6565. Nyoro and Babu on the same stage is proof that young leadership is no longer asking for space. It is taking it. Sharp minds, fearless voices, and zero fear of power. When